Good evening, everyone. We will officially call this Manvel City Council workshop to order. We do have a quorum present. First up on the agenda is a budget presentation from our City Secretary, Tammy Bell. That's going to be covering administration, court, and legal. So, Tammy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm just going to be honest, if I seem a little off my game, I just had a new grandbaby born today, so it's got me a little, I know. And they live in Manvel, so it's a Manvel resident that was just born. We're going to start with, we're going to go over the city secretary, the court, public information office, as well as touch on legal in there. A lot of what the secretary's office and the legal office does is kind of piggybacks off each other. So the first slide just gives an overview of the different areas of the city secretary's office. Right now, the secretary currently oversees the governance of elections, ordinances, resolutions, records, contracts, legal notices, risk management, council and board support, and also the municipal court department, as well as the public information office department. There are going to be some changes in the near future for the courts and the public information officer divisions. So this one is the current fiscal year, and then come next year, you guys will see some changes in that. Under the city secretary's office, the charter, Article 5, spells out the requirements for the city manager regarding appointment, qualifications, compensation, powers, and duties. The city secretary, Section 504, and then the city attorney, Section 505. I love this visual because it shows the council at the core, with the framework being built around the four principles of course, council at the core, surrounded by the city manager, city attorney, as well as the city secretary. Each of us serves a distinct role and derives our authority from different legal resources, and we each have independent responsibilities that are essential to the effective governance. However, it takes us working together. We provide the leadership, legal oversight, administrative execution, and legislative integrity necessary to ensure transparency, accountability, and compliance in municipal government. This one here goes over the services provided by the office regarding to the governance being council boards, agendas and minutes, records management, elections administration, legislative records, risk management, regarding claims, insurance, accident reporting, community engagement, transparency, and administrative services being your regular mail, supplies, office work. Most of these items also bring in the legal division. Although we can do a lot of the groundwork, there's a lot of it that gets overlooked by Bobby to make sure that everything we've put in place meets the requirements of the new laws and the government code. This one here is just a workload snapshot. For the current year. I'm not going to read through all of this. You guys have it in your packets as well. It's on the website. The one thing that is interesting on that is, for the most part, the number of emails that the office has coming in between the assistant city secretary and the secretaries. Projected by the end of the year will be 31,000 emails. So we're a busy office. It's not stuff you see maybe every day, but we're processing behind the scenes and answering community questions and concerns and responses. This next one goes over open records. So the amount of open records from, and this one's important because we are going to ask for a position. We asked for it last year, and with the budget being as tight, we said we would work harder with the information that we'd be asking for this year. So in 2023, from then to current, we had a 151% increase in the number of open records requests. Again, this not only goes through the city secretary's office, but many of them through the legal division for Bobby, and both Susan, his paralegal, oversees those with the division. The next one again is just an overview of the email workload. To date, since October 1, the city secretary's processed 16,641 emails, with the assistant city secretary having processed 7,438 and being on track for a total of 32,000 by the end of the fiscal year. Accomplishments. There's one accomplishment that's not on the slide, and I want to make a note of that. It's not on there. This one is a specific accomplishment accomplished by the Assistant City Secretary. When Meridiana developed, we ran into a big hiccup with the Postal Service. Residents in Meridiana had the Rocheron zip address with the 77578 zip code. Manvel wasn't recognizing being the post office to deliver mail, nor was Rocheron, so those people just were not getting their mail. Alyssa worked with the mayor, made many phone calls, many letters. They coordinated the appeal process that literally affected hundreds of residents over in that area, not just Manvel, but also Iowa Colony. They worked with Iowa Colony and the post office, developed resident communications, created an informational webpage and mass communications. We're still working on it. It's not 100% complete, but we're almost over that hump. So I really want to give that recognition to Alyssa and the mayor for getting that project going. I know those residents are extremely appreciative. The other accomplishments you have in your packet: successfully coordinated multiple events, ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, proclamations, recognitions, managed an increasing workload on the same staff of 2 people, and maintain the integrity that the city council and the public depend on every day. I like this phrase: the year wasn't defined by the number of meetings held, records maintained, or deadlines met. It was defined by the relationships built, people served, and trust earned. One conversation, one event, one record, and one accomplishment at a time. That describes everything that we've done over the course of the year. Challenges, of course, with every department, growth brings challenges. I think our biggest challenge for our office is the organizational awareness. As the city grows, our biggest challenge is ensuring shared understanding of the city secretary's statutory role. When the office is not engaged early, important information, projects, decisions can bypass critical legislative functions, records management, election, and compliance processes, increasing organizational risk and reducing efficiency. And that's the same with legal. Both of us pull very important roles in all aspects, and as new staff comes on and divisions have grown, just keeping that chain of command in there where we're all in the loop. That's probably our biggest challenge. Of course, the rapid growth would be our secondary. Evolving requirements. State laws changed our schedules on posting notices and elections as well, and then just manual processes. We're trying to come up to the age of technology. We haven't quite hit it there yet with our office, but that is one of our challenges that we have going on. Priorities for this next fiscal year, our ask is going to be a records clerk position. There's two softwares that we would like to bring on. One is a board management software, which handles all things volunteer boards. The other is a public records software. Right now, we manually track all our open record requests. So through a spreadsheet and email coordination through all the different divisions, keeping up with which ones have been responded to, who we're needing information from still, things we've sent to the AG's office and what we're waiting to get back on. It's outgrowing our abilities to do it the way we're doing it. So that is going to be an ask. And then a future ask will be the Laserfiche records management so that we can get things digitized across the board. This one here is just some information on the records clerk and the reason for the ask. Again, I won't read through all of that, but it is in your packet. And then the ending, just a big thank you on the side of the city secretary's office. Governments are remembered by the decisions they make, but history remembers them because someone preserved those decisions with integrity. I think that's important. When we think of records, we just think of sometimes open records, not the storage and preserving the records in the past and the history of Manvel. The city secretary's office is where today's actions become tomorrow's history, preserving the past, protecting the present, and preparing the future. So our next presentation is going to be on, any questions?
Yes, I was just going to say, Tammy, we'll stop and hold there for questions. Thank you for sharing all the accomplishments that you or Lisa and the entire team have done. Just the initial question I have regarding these priorities for 26, 27, what's the dollar amount projected that's associated with each of those? Do you have those at this time?
So for the employee, I didn't put that one on there. We haven't discussed the entire position per se in regards to if we'll be able to find one, obviously, with experience. That would be our hope. If that's the case, that position is probably going to be somewhere about total compensation around $65,000. If it's someone without the experience that we're looking for, obviously that will go down to probably around a $50,000 a year position. The two softwares, the reason I put both of them on there at this time is because if you bundle them, you get a discount. And so by doing both of them, they're from the same company that does civic agendas, the website, our Muni code for our codification. So between the two of them, we got the pricing last year, and it was around, not counting the initial startup fee, around $12,000. And then the Laserfiche, that one's quite expensive. Again, that's not on our goal this year, but hoping that in the near future, maybe within the next 2 years, we could be asking for that. It'll take getting that records person on site to pull a big role in getting everything digitized and indexed properly. If we mess the index up to start with, you can't go back and fix your indexing. So that's going to be an important thing that we have to really be mindful of.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tammy. Council, any comments, questions for Tammy?
No, you have the same question.
Okay. All right, Tammy, we can move on. Municipal court. Thank you.
You bet. So on the municipal court side, this first one is just an overview of the court. Again, I'm not going to go over that same overview you all got last year. Accomplishments, reporting, consistently submitted all required state and local court reports. The record keeping, strengthened their records management procedures through standardizing guidelines, enhancing quality control measures, improving accuracy, and reducing errors and increasing accountability across the court operations. And then employee involvement, really getting their staff. Last year, council authorized an additional clerk for the courts, so having that additional clerk helped have two on duty while one was able to be gone for trainings. So it really helped them go through some of the necessary court clerk trainings that they needed to get done, but also help them with the teen court program, as well as some of the other things that they have going on in some technology upgrades that they've got going on. And we're going to go to that on this next one for their accomplishments. So they actually just went, or finishing up with a software upgrade. They're implementing a new software called AdComp Court Management Software. Right now, it's been Tyler Technology for many, many years. Tyler Technology is amazing in its all thing courts area. The problem is it's gotten so big that there's lots of lag time with the judges during court trying to get cases to come up to move forward with their next cases. So we actually went through with a new software. It's almost online. We're still going through some of the testing with it. Another accomplishment is the judges. They've got enhanced availability by adding 2 new judges, as well as the ability to do magistrating digitally over at the jail. And then our teen court competition, 2 years, we got first and second. This year, we did secure a 3rd place at the state competition. That program is growing tremendously. It's an amazing program, the only one in Brazoria County. Matter of fact, City of Pearland wanted to send some of their juveniles to our teen court program because they don't have one. So definitely doing well with that. Some of the challenges, space is a big challenge, and that's going to fix itself once the new building the West Wing is completed, and we're able to build out the current annex building will become the court building. So it will fix itself. It is currently, though, a challenge for them, primarily in staffing. There's no more room to grow for additional clerks at the line. It only houses the 3 clerks that are up at the front right now. Another challenge is security in the sense of bailiff. Right now, the officers do the bailiff for the court. However, it's typically trying to coordinate an officer off the streets to come in and be the bailiff. This is the court's busy and growing, so is the police department. So the ask would be a dedicated part-time person just for bailiff responsibility. So we're not pulling an officer off of the streets to come in and be bailiff. That one, cost-wise, the city court has a security fund, so it can be funded from a different account outside of the general fund. You can only use the security fund on certain things, which is all things security, so that is a reason that they could use a bailiff and fund it from that account. For the budget request, they're asking for a juvenile case manager. That one, not necessarily. The request was when we put this together at the time that the new building comes on, not knowing if that'll be partway through the fiscal year or exactly when that will be. So there is no dollar assigned to that. And then the part-time bailiff. That juvenile case manager, the laws regarding the juveniles have updated, and so with the certain requirements that they have to do, they almost have to be counselors and get deep into the history of that juvenile and the offers that get given to them, and it's a little more invasive than what our current clerks can take on. And that goes with the diversion for the youth diversion requirements. The next one is the equipment. Again, all of these items are, if you'll notice at the top, this is a 2728 request. So building remodel and courtroom equipment, all of that is just for you guys to see what would be coming with that next budget year with the new building. This next slide is just a chart showing the court case trends. This one here goes over the 5-year growth, so you can see from October of 21 to 22, the number of citations filed compared to the current number of citations filed, along with the warnings going across the years from 21 up through current, as well as the dockets, the warrants, and the warrant payments. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Tammy. Council, any comments or questions? Councilman?
What is the time frame for the West Wing?
So we have about a little bit less than a year before the West Wing is complete and the park and everything else. And so towards the end of that, we'll start working on the renovation of the next door annex and converting that to the courthouse.
Okay, so say again,
So about a year. Yes, sir.
I'm just doing the math in my head. So barring any construction delays, then that would be the budget.
It could still be this fiscal year, or
There's a better chance it's going to be next.
better chance it'll be next year, yes.
Okay.
We're trying to keep our foot on the gas
Yep.
with the contractor and everybody else, but
Okay. Thanks.
And that, Councilmember Albert, that's why we did not put a dollar amount for the position request. We don't want dollars tied up if we're not going to be able to use them this fiscal year, and there just is not room to put the extra person in the current court.
Any other comments, questions? All right, Tammy, on to the next one. Thank you.
All right, next one. This one's going to be the Public Information Office. So the overview, Public Information Office serves as a communication hub for the city of Manvel. So all those Manvel Minute videos with the mayor, I don't know who comes up with the ideas of rolling the beginning part of those out, but it takes a lot of work to put those together. It may only be a minute presentation, but there's a lot of time and effort put behind the scenes. So Blake does those, the social media management, website management. For those, if you haven't looked at the city's website, we just went through a redesign. It was fantastic. But I do want to give lots of kudos to Blake and Alyssa because they did probably 85% of the design on it. I don't think Civic Clerk realized the expertise that our staff had, and once they started giving their ideas, it's like they just kind of got lazy and let our staff do the hard work. So kudos to both Blake and Alyssa for all their work on that. Again, all things public communications, events, and photography. Accomplishments, our Facebook growth, Instagram growth, LinkedIn growth, the website, they facilitated the redesign, and then the videography. Blake created 15 short-form videos to date. And again, they may be short, but they take a lot of time and effort to put those together. For the budget requests, equipment and personnel, the biggest request on here is a podium with an embedded screen. So that will replace this with the screen that's up here so you guys can see what's going on up here and then the speaker standing behind it. A desktop computer replacement for his computer and then a lens for night photography. So for those music festivals coming up in the evening time, he can be out there and capturing some good photos. And that's all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Tammy. Council, any comments and/or questions? Councilman?
Quick comment on the technology. You're talking about that for this room here, right?
Correct.
So one of the things that, especially for somebody like me that's hard of hearing, right? Some sort of enhanced hearing system or a speaker system or something where the hearing impaired folks might have an opportunity to hear a little better, right? So I don't know.
We have not looked in that, but that is great to bring up, and we absolutely will look into that and get the pricing for the city manager.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Call it, Councilman. Any other comments or questions? Well, Tammy, your team does an incredible job at legal. Your office, public information officer, great work. Thank you for highlighting all the accomplishments and look forward to all that you guys will accomplish in this next fiscal year.
Thank you.
Tammy. All right, Council, we will now move on to the second item in our agenda. This is a development presentation by Risewell Group. We'll have Dan introduce this item. I believe they are then here to present the item. Just as a call out to make sure that we make best use of the time, because it is a 50-plus page presentation. Council has been able to review the presentation in advance, so if you guys can hit the bullet points, we'll try to cap it at 15 minutes. That way we leave time for council feedback and questions. So Dan, we'll turn it over to you, and we'll head into questions at 5:45 p.m.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just, I guess to sort of get us all on the same page. So Risewell had approached staff a couple of months ago about having a workshop with council, and we kind of went through the pre-development meeting process with them to help them, get all of their information that they needed before they had this workshop with you. I think they had an opportunity to hear some of the public comments and some of the social media comments and everything. So this is the first actual opportunity that they've had to present to council or to the public for that matter. And a little bit of history, I guess, with one of our presenters was actually on the ground floor. Dan was on the ground floor of almost said Presidio, Pomona development, which is obviously a great development up there back when it was, I guess, MHI, McGuire Homes, and that's probably what you're going to talk about. But anyway, if it seems like a familiar face, that's a few city halls ago. But anyway, so Mayor Martin was here for that, exactly. So I think they're ready. Y'all ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do we have slides ready or no? He's loading. Okay, I'll talk quickly. Again, we're pressed on time. First, want to thank you, Mayor Davis, and Joe's and Mr. Johnson for allowing us to present when typically staff does. Want to kind of lay out the ground floor. We intend to come back and opportunities for Joe's team to present this in a future date. So really today, it's about what is the development, what's proposed, first chance for all of council to be together to talk about the proposed development, okay? So property is made up of, not working here. Tammy, help me out. Where'd Tammy go? Yeah, banging on the table. All right, so quick intro. Dan already introduced me. Dan Whitson with Risewell. With me is Kent Milson. Kent is with Meta Planning and Design. They design communities all over the city. Thank you very much. She does a wonderful job, right? All right, so quick timeline. We've had 2 meetings with city staff, one with included Mayor Davis and stakeholders that attended, and of course, Mr. Johnson attended as well. This is the first of what could be an additional workshops. Wanted to point out that we do expect, the city would have plenty of opportunity to comment on this project many times into the future, but the information across the bottom of the timeline here really illustrates kind of where we are, and I want to just point out how early we are in the process so that everybody understands it's a partnership that we're looking for. We're looking for feedback. We want to move forward with a quality development that you're happy with, that we're proud of, and that kind of aligns with everybody's goals. So this is page 2. Obviously, in the future, a potential development agreement would need to be in place, plating approval, staff review of any construction plans, and then leading up to any kind of future groundbreaking. It's going to take some time to get there. Project location, for those that haven't seen it, this is just off Masters and Lewis Lane behind the elementary school just to the north. General location and property boundaries are shown here. Just to point out real quick, that's 0.2 miles to the elementary school and 0.8 miles to the junior high. The property that we have tied up is with the Lowe and Peters family. Really important to note that we have representatives from both families here today. I think that my ask for you guys to always consider that they are stakeholders in this as well. They've made the decision that it's time to sell the property. We're the first ones to approach them and present this plan with you. So keep that in mind, please, when you're discussing opportunities for us. I thought it was important to also point out the family history in Manvel. So we asked each of the families to provide us with a short timeline. To save time, I've handed you their actual write-ups. But in short, family members with the Lowe family moved here starting in the 20s. Wilma Lowe, the mother of 3 or 4 that are here today. Miss Wilma still lives on property, correct? On the north side, the North Star just up there. And then the star to the south is 20 acres that's immediately adjacent to the Peters family. Wilma and Johnny married in 1955. 4 children, all whom live here in Manvel today. Background for the land uses: dairy farmer, ranch farmers, and Mr. Johnny served on the ACC board. Sorry, I'm moving fast. The Peters family, also represented here today, ties with the Booth family. John Philip Booth, born in 1859, one of 4. There's David Peters, then Orme Booth, and then you see Orme and Klein Peters had Earl Peters. Moving as quickly as I can, respectfully. The key to this, I think, is just to show that Earl and Marjorie raised 3 children, and they raised them in the property that is down on the corner, if I understand, or they built a house there on the corner. And that photo is from 1965. So again, the goal here is to show that the families have a lot of history, and this was a very big decision for them. And we're here to try and serve them as best we can. All right, so I'm going to pass the mic over to Kent with Meta, but I'm going to point out the project team that we've assembled for this with Risewell is LJ Engineering. Very familiar faces come from the LJ Engineering team. They've already studied some preliminary water and traffic for us. Meta, who's here, and then Apollo is our capital partner. And I want to point out that Apollo is having a strong team and having Apollo Capital behind us says that we have a team that truly can execute a project like this. So Kent?
Okay. I want to speak a little bit about the kind of nuts and bolts of the plan and where we are today and kind of what we've heard from a lot of our current stakeholder meetings and those sorts of things. So just going to run through kind of what we see the existing conditions around the properties, stakeholder feedback, how that has helped to inform kind of where we are today and where we want to be moving forward, as well as kind of what we learned in really studying and taking to heart a lot of what is in the Manvel Comprehensive Plan that was adopted a couple months ago. And then at the very tail end, Dan will come back and speak a little bit about the product. Okay, so in looking at the existing site conditions for the property, Wynn looked at kind of our main avenues in, and one of them, very early on, the initial entry we were looking at was over here off 1128 off Cedar Street. We've since kind of changed and pivoted to where we think our phase one's going to be. So Cedar Street is still a potential kind of avenue to get in and out in a later phase, but that would need some kind of help from the city or working to kind of make sure all the improvements are manageable to get everything in and out. Coming on the south side, this is Lewis Lane. And then working up Cemetery, and then lastly, kind of the existing condition for Flora. So we've got some very meaningful roads on kind of each of our 4 sides, and we'll kind of see how those kind of work into the plan here shortly. So as City Manager said, we've had a handful of stakeholder meetings. We've been coordinating with his staff, and City Manager over the last several months, just trying to be as transparent in our kind of work through this property as we can, so that way we can come to y'all as prepared and, not spending time and effort without, working towards a common goal there. And one of the key things are these 3 items are what we heard from kind of both sets of stakeholder meetings. Drainage was probably first and foremost on that, of just kind of some of the existing conditions, and it was kind of good to see the rain the last couple of weeks of how kind of some of the roads around us and the neighboring properties have issues with drainage and flooding. And then we'll go into traffic impact, and then lastly, a lot size discussion. So these are some kind of preliminary exhibits from the drainage study. What you see on the screen on the left side is some kind of the preliminary kind of floodplain data. And I think that's taken from the city's GIS page. And then on the right is kind of our engineering team looking at where the different drainage areas are for our particular tract. So you can see majority of our property is in that kind of blue middle area there, and just a hair, a little bit on that northern piece is in that red drainage area. This just highlights a few of the kind of nearby school properties and kind of their proximity to the site, as well as kind of where they sit in relation to some of those drainage areas. And then this was a really important item of what we had took from that second stakeholder meeting. We had the benefit of having one of the neighbors come sit in, be able to provide feedback, and she spoke of when it comes a good rain, her property floods. And that was very apparent. This is taken from a couple weeks ago when we had those rains every day, nonstop. And you can see kind of running up kind of that western property line where it abuts to the property we're talking about is full of water, standing water. So a couple of the other,
Sorry.
sir.
Could you point out the directional of the flow, because that's the key.
We can.
Go back to the drainage map?
Yeah.
The direction of the flow. There you go.
So backing up, direction of the flow, as Dan suggested, everything is coming south. So for our property, we're 110, 111 acres of, if we can get some of that flow taken off of property and into a controlled system, get into the channel earlier than being managed through some of the roadside ditches, it should be able to help and provide benefit to some of the neighboring properties that are currently, impacted by excessive rainwater. It's all your marks? Okay. Moving to traffic, one of the things after our last stakeholder meeting, given the time of year, we had our engineers send out and get traffic counts before school was out of session. So that way we'd have an accurate representation to, really adequately model of kind of existing conditions. And one of the major concerns were anywhere we wanted to kind of connect to 1128 on our western side was going to prompt some fairly major traffic improvements. Some left turn lanes, I think a signal or two were also warranted, as well as cemetery down towards 6 was also highlighted as an area of concern that was, currently underserviced. And then lot size was also kind of a key discussion point. Again, we heard a lot of varied information. So I'm hoping that a lot of the discussion we have tonight can kind of help lean us in a direction and help kind of shape where we're going. But a lot of kind of what we've shown has evolved from day one to where we are today. We're trying to work within kind of, and Dan will come back up here in a second and speak a little bit to kind of the market of what we've studied for the area, as well as trying to be conscious of our neighbors and working as best we can, because we want to be partners in the deal. We want to be able to provide a good product that helps, speak to the essence of Manvel.
Ken, you have a 5-minute time check.
We'll breeze through the comprehensive plan then. So one of the things, again, after we heard all that feedback, we went and studied the comprehensive plan. Y'all as a city spent a good amount of time working through it, a good amount of meetings. So we wanted to make sure we're not proposing anything that is out of scope for kind of what y'all had just gotten approved. So this map kind of shows where our site sits in the comprehensive plan. You see it's painted that yellow color, which is the suburban residential. We worked through a lot of the definitions, a lot of the kind of key bullet points for what's highlighted in those areas. This image just shows kind of a typical example of Manvel of what's pictured as the estate residential. Then we go to this is Terra Estates. This is also provided as a suburban residential example. These are 60 by 120 and 125 foot deep lots just down the street from our property. And then, taking a lot of that into account, there was also some discussion in the comprehensive plan of making sure that any development that is created to try to provide walkability, the ability of walking trails along the bayous, along green spaces, to be able to connect homes and residences to a lot of the different land uses in the area. So that's what's kind of ideal for this site in a residential development there of, like Dan pointed out, it's less than a quarter mile to the elementary school to the south. Post office is right there off 1128. There's a lot of other city services right in this area that could be walkable for these residents, as well as just being able to access and get around to everything in the area. So just some high level details. Our plan would be to phase it over 3 phases of development. We're generally in that kind of 250 to 270 homes right now. Again, that's kind of variable. We're working through a lot of different iterations as we are right now. Again, we're trying to target well and above that city minimum of 6,300 square feet for a lot. And then we've got a handful of premium lots throughout the development that kind of range, upwards of that 10,000 square feet. So then SF 1 and 2, we've got here just a highlight, likely starting in that southeastern quadrant. Again, it just became, there were a lot less hurdles being able to get our access off Lewis and Cemetery. So that way we wouldn't have to have any kind of issues with staff on our accessibility and any emergency services. And then kind of working ourselves north through the project. Drainage we talked about, again, big picture here. we've got over 100 acres that, through a development drainage system, trying to take a lot of that drainage out of the roadside ditches, be able to get it into an engineered system and a controlled system so that the outlet gets into the channel, and, hopefully we're taking a lot of the impact off the neighbors. And then kind of what I spoke to a minute ago, really focusing on being able to get the people to experience the lakes and the open space that we are providing in the plan. We've got our drainage system kind of central to our plan, and we want to amenitize that, be able to get our parks and trails on there, as well as a lot of our open spaces where we can. So that way it really feels like a community. It's not just a bunch of houses. It just kind of shows the plan on the aerial. And then we do have an opportunity of the Low Families Tree Farm. They've got a handful of existing trees that are, could be transplanted, and being able to use those in and around the community is a benefit. Some pictures of the trees. And then, Dan, you want me to take it, or you want it?
Go for it.
Okay. Some of the other benefits, just to the overall, city systems, the ability to loop the water. There's some existing utility infrastructure. I think it's on Lewis, and Dan, please correct me when I misspeak. But being able to connect that water system from Lewis, from Cemetery, and get it back up to 1128 really adds benefit to kind of the overall city system, as well as just being able to get some east-west circulation through the areas. One of the things we will be asking as we kind of work through this process will be kind of that consent for mud annexation. I know that was a discussion topic at one of the last council meetings. So just being able to kind of understand and work through that process with y'all. And then kind of the tail end, last probably 10 or so slides, kind of really speak to who is Risewell, some of their accomplishments, an A+ builder, where they kind of work. Scroll through just kind of their development team right quick. 130 plus years development experience on your team, Dan?
Seven communities.
Customer satisfaction survey, A+ at the 12-month mark. And then just kind of breezing through a lot of the kind of products Risewell would see here is kind of spanning from that 1,900 square feet up to 2,700, up to 3,000. Scroll. And then just some images of the kind of interior finishes, and then they should wrap up here in a second. The ability to do different kind of architectural styles pending feedback. And that's it.
Awesome. Kent, Dan, you guys did a great job covering a lot of information in 15 minutes. So thank you. No, our team does a great job sending us the information in advance as well, putting it in our packets. So appreciate you guys. Like we did last time, we'll go left to right. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Bonner for any questions or feedback. And council, what they're really looking for is, do you like the direction that it's heading? Do you want to see changes? Where's that line in the sand? Is it a hard no? Because it would require rezoning. They're looking for clarity before they start spending more time and money going down this path. So, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here tonight and showing us what you've got. I've got about 2 or 3 questions. Number one, on the lot sizes, how many of these 250 to 270 lots are underneath 10,000 square feet?
Right now, probably about 3/4.
And major exit appears to be now onto Lewis Lane and Flora. Would that be correct for phase 1?
Phase 1 would be Lewis Lane and Cemetery.
I'm sorry, but isn't that where the Flora Road exit comes out to?
Yes, Flora will go on to
So
Cemetery.
what's the
correct.
plan for Cemetery? How do you plan to deal with all that added traffic? I haven't done the math yet, but 250 times 2.6 is quite a few cars.
And that's something we're working through on the traffic impact analysis, and happy to discuss with staff as those kind of progress. But that is a discussion point we need to have, yes, sir.
And land acquisition to do the widening of that road to be able to handle that. I haven't heard anything about that on either roads, but I don't see how you would handle traffic without taking property to do that. And then mud acquisition. How much debt do you expect to put into the into the mud? How much is that going to add?
We've had a Mud FA do an analysis for us based on the value that we would create. So of the 261 homes, we estimate that's a value of $125 million in taxable value. And that would generate, in the exact question is how much debt would likely they take on. So we are estimating that would support about $9.5 to $10 million for a max debt that they could take on. And so we had the Mud FA do an analysis based on that so that we can present that and discuss with the MUDs that are consideration.
Do you anticipate that that's going to be able to be added to that mud without increasing the tax to the mud?
Yes, sir.
Citizen?
It's intended to be a no add to, it's using their current tax rate. That's right.
Overall, I'm just not sure where you came up with this plan based on the current feedback that's out there. I sat in on both the other meetings. I know the feedback was there that this area and all the people that are in this room probably tonight, with the exception of a couple, have voiced their opinions on social media that they were looking like some of the people on council are for 1 acre lots. And I don't see anything here that says that you're going to be anywhere close to that. You're talking about 25% that aren't even going to be half. And,
Yep.
and nothing, it's just, I'm wondering where you're getting this feedback that you say you're getting.
Well, with all respect, we really focused on the comprehensive plan and the feedback that we got from you guys. The comprehensive plan specifically defines what is a rural residential, an estate residential, and then a suburban residential. So we were following the line that was drawn because we understand that you guys spent a very long time having stakeholder meetings and going through that whole process. And so that was where it started, and we originally came in with a plan that offered 50s, 60, and 70-foot wide lots. And then we went back and pivoted from that to increase the average lot size. It's over 8,000 square feet now. And the smallest lot is 7,200 square feet. And your current ordinance requires is what, 6,300. So 20% of the lots in this plan are greater than 10,000 and go all the way up to 19,400. We took into account the stakeholders that were immediately or closely affected by this. And not shown is the drawing that actually shows the largest lots that are immediately around those homes. So we try to incorporate as much as we know that would be economically feasible for a job like this. But we do know that half acre, 1 acre, no one's going to come in to buy 111 acres to do
Nobody
half acre
yet.
lots. I'm sorry?
Nobody yet.
Nobody yet. That's true.
But I think there is proof in the greater Houston area that there's about 4 or 5 subdivisions that have that going on right now. Not on this side of town, but somebody sooner or later will get the understanding that the majority of what I call the stakeholders, there are people that are living here now and have been here for some time, don't want a cookie cutter subdivision in their backyard. They're not ready for the traffic that it's going to cause. They're not ready for all the other issues, and we haven't even hit on drainage yet. We already know that the water can't go past Highway 6, and now we're going to dump a bunch more into it. So I can't get behind this plan at all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Lance?
I appreciate y'all being here, and I do appreciate your presentation. I know y'all put a lot of work and effort into it, and I know y'all feel strongly about it, but we feel strongly about it too. I don't know exactly where the breakdown of communication is on the zoning, and my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is this is zoned 1 acre family. Am I incorrect on that?
Zoning-wise, currently, yes. But the comprehensive plan, like they said, on the future land use plan that was adopted, it has been designated as suburban residential, which is slightly different from the rural preservation designation. But without getting too much into details on that, your current zoning is for 1 acre lots.
So zoning, as far as I'm concerned right now, is trumping our comprehensive plan. And that's where I sit on it. I think we need to look at, if y'all are interested in developing this land, I think we're looking at 1 acre lots. I know that doesn't fit your budget, but like I said, I do appreciate y'all's time and interest in Manvel.
Sure. Thank you very much. Hey, and Joe's Would you mind explaining the implementation of the plan as it relates to if we were to submit the zoning application?
So when, if they proceed with this plan and submit an application, they would submit for a rezoning application, either in the form of a planned unit development or a straight rezoning to single-family residential that we have. But on this plan, I also see some commercial, so there's a good chance that it might be a PUD application. But when they submit the application, staff would review it vis-a-vis the comprehensive plan that was adopted, the guidance that we get in terms of the goals of the comprehensive plan, and the guidance given by the future land use plan, and we'll make a recommendation to y'all. We'll make a recommendation to the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission, who then makes a recommendation to the City Council, and then y'all can decide based on all the facts of the application and staff's recommendation, as well as PD&Z's recommendation, to whether approve the request or not. Did that cover it?
Thank you, Joes. Councilman Oplager?
Hello, gentlemen, thank you for being here. A couple questions. So on Florida, is it going to come out on Flora? I see like a little street there. Is traffic going to actually go out from the subdivision onto Flora?
The property does connect to Flora right away, and that would be a discussion with the city manager and engineering review team for any opportunity or requirement to connect through Flora. So right now, because it does, I would expect right-of-way dedications to extend all the way to Flora, yes.
Yeah. And then on Cemetery, have you guys been over there to see Cemetery in Georgia? That tough angle right there, that's a tough turn. If you're coming off of Georgia and turning right or left, it's a tough turn. The ditches are deep, the streets are narrow, right? And from the entrance, what you're proposing would be right on top of that. And that would cause a problem for the people in that part of the town.
Sure, and that would be for the engineering department to comment. It's a great comment. We've learned already that Cemetery Road already has traffic, it exceeds its traffic limits right now. So it warrants improvements today, and that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, so even at that, yes, so my real concern in all that, right, and the lesson learned that we've learned from the subdivisions over here is that the plan was for everybody to go out McCoy, but they've come out, just through the growth of the subdivision, they're coming out on the old side streets. And those roads just aren't designed for that kind of heavy traffic, and we spent a lot of money trying to improve them. But that's a challenge for us, right? Is when you build a subdivision and everybody, because I can tell you what's going to happen. They'll come out on Cemetery and go out to Scott Street back at 1128 and all that. So all of a sudden, the back quiet streets are full of traffic. People zipping down the road because they don't want to go out to 1128. And out and around. So that's a real concern, right?
Yes, sir. Very much understand. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to talk about any type of development agreement that may come in place. What is the traffic impact of a community like this? As I was describing earlier, we would also be contributing a significant amount of, adding a lot of ad valorem tax to the city. And so for this $125 million in ad valorem value, that would generate about $650,000 a year annually for the city to use at its own discretion.
Listen.
And so if it warrants traffic improvements to Cemetery and we need to do a development agreement, we would decide what proportionate share would be our responsibility, what proportionate share would be the city's responsibility. So there's an opportunity to work together, and that's why we opened up with, we're looking for a partnership here.
All right. So have you met with the state or talked to the state about the traffic on Masters 1128?
Not at this stage, no.
Might want to try to talk to them too, right? Because that's a lot of traffic, and where you're talking about putting the traffic out onto Cedar Street right there by the post office.
Sure, we've not talked to the state. However, the traffic engineer that did a study says that the intersection of Lewis and Masters will support the traffic that we're putting on it.
Well, it'll support it, but yeah,
Hey, everyone in the crowd, let's make sure to keep the comments and the remarks down.
at the gridlock, right? Yeah, so it gets pretty tough around there in the mornings and afternoons. I I'm not sure where you're at with the mud. I'm not in favor of throwing a mud at other folks, especially if they have to absorb the cost of that, of existing mud. So I don't know how you're going to address that. The walking trails, in the comprehensive plan, we do say that we want walking trails and connectivity and all that. Yeah, because again, the older part of Manvel was built a long time ago. There's no sidewalks and there's no walking trails. New subdivisions have walking trails and stuff like that, but I don't see that as an open invitation for me to come over and park my car in front of somebody's house and go walking around the neighborhood. I just don't see that. But in that, I see your detention pond would be right here. You talked about the proximity of the schools. You gonna build a sidewalk to those schools?
Our plan does propose a sidewalk all the way down to Lewis Lane right now, and there's a short
How are they
segment.
going to get to Lewis Lane?
You see the road that goes south to Lewis
Okay,
Lane
so
that
there'll be a
has the
sidewalk
trees
right
next
there?
to it. There's a proposed walk. So pedestrian circulation is extremely important. So the proposed walk would get it to Lewis, and then we can work with the school district for sidewalks that would connect.
All right, and then this is just a general question. I was looking at your webpage, and what is your community outreach spend? Yeah, do you guys sponsor Little League teams and stuff like that? Do you spend any money on the community?
I'm sure we do. I don't know those stats off the top of my head, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Well, gentlemen, just a few quick remarks from me, no questions. Well put together presentation. Thank you guys for doing that. I want to leave my colleagues here some time. Whenever we took time, 3 weeks to delay, I was hoping that we would be able to get somewhere a little bit closer to the one home per 1 acre than what I see right here. The residents, I never usually see the council chambers this full, and that's because the residents loud and clear are saying they want 1 home per 1 acre, and that's where I am. It needs to be 1 home per 1 acre, and if you guys aren't able to get to that, fully respect that. As you said, and I appreciate that, you guys are looking for a partnership. And so I think upfront and transparent communication is important. So if I was asked to rezone or to consent to a mud annexation, I wouldn't be able to do it for this. 2 main reasons why. In your presentation, you talk about the comp plan. Now, when you look at suburban residential and you research suburban residential, it has to be cohesive with surrounding properties. And our 2045 plan, which ultimately guided the comp plan, speaks to that. It says that growth should fit the community. It states that new development is expected and welcome, but it should fit the character of the area. It should avoid anonymous cookie-cutter subdivisions and protect Manvel's identity. It specifically says our 2045 plan that development should not overwhelm the community. The city wants something that expresses its unique character. Growth should be sensible and sustainable. While you guys, I'm sure this is a beautiful product, what you guys do, and you guys have a testament and a history of doing great work, this doesn't fit what the area is. Pastor Tim Linston said something at the last meeting that's stuck with me ever since, and it's something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. When they bought their property and they built their home, they bought into a promise. They bought into a commitment, which was the zoning of 1 home per 1 acre. If we go and if we rezone to anything less than that, we're breaking that promise with them, and we're violating that trust that the people have with their government, and that's not something that I'm willing to break. We've worked really hard these past 3.5 years to build trust. We've said no to other subdivision developments that aren't cohesive with the area, and that's not something that I can do now. So that's where I stand on this, Councilwoman.
Hi. I just want to make sure that I'm aligned. So there was a completed traffic study for this.
There was a traffic counts and a preliminary study. They haven't completed it yet. We're in the early stages of that. Thank you.
So staff, when does, if, for example, we wanted them to widen a road so that it can help with the congestion that may be faced in the morning, when does that come into play in the process?
That'll come first of all, we'll have to do a review of the traffic impact analysis whenever the rezoning comes in. That would be the first point when we look at it. And then when we get to the subdivision part, when the plats are reviewed and approved, when the master plan comes for approval, at that stage, again, it will be looked at and they will get a fair understanding on phasing, or we would get a fair understanding on the phasing of all the necessary street improvements. Our current subdivision regulations require the streets, the major thoroughfare streets to be addressed, dedication be addressed at the first phase. So it would be around that platting phase when we'll get a good understanding.
Okay, but there will be an opportunity for us to work that out before they continue to move forward, like with phase 1.
I would say to some extent, because some of those requirements are already set in our subdivision ordinance. So whatever requirements trigger is what would be applied, unless there is a separate development agreement that is considered as part of the mud annexation or mud creation.
Okay. Okay. And then, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the last question, so I can't remember who asked it, but we were asking about the debt for the mud. You were saying that it wouldn't be anything additional that was added on to the mud. Is that, did I get that right?
Councilmember Bonner asked if it would affect their tax rate was the question, and what was the total amount. So
You said
a total
no.
amount of debt that they would take on was the question.
But you said that it wouldn't affect the tax rate.
The board and voters would ultimately decide the tax rate that they have. We underwrote it using the current tax rate, and so they would have the opportunity to vote. So we're not asking them to raise their tax, is my point. So the intent of the MUD or purpose of the MUDs, they're tools that the state's granted opportunities to help with financing projects that are infrastructures that the cities are not involved. It helps to avoid having to put that burden on existing city residents. So that's the reason for approaching a MUD, asking a MUD if they would take on the projects with us.
But is that based upon if you guys stuck with the 250 homes? So if we went to 1 home per acre, you wouldn't be able to do 250, right?
That's correct.
So then there risks a chance for an increase.
Well, just like you reviewing the plan, they would want to know what's the plan from us. So what's the financial commitment? What's the value add? All of those things are considered.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman?
I'm going to take the minority position. I'm not offended by your lot size. What I am offended at is that this council in this city spent a lot of time spending money on the comprehensive plan and a lot of input from people, and now given an opportunity to look at a subdivision that fits into that plan, we're saying, well, we're going to ignore the plan. Well, then why did we spend that money? This is a plan that fits. And let's not be disingenuous on why these are zoned 1 acre lots now. They're zoned 1 acre lots now to meet the TCEQ requirements of a septic system. If we're going to go away from a development of this property and require it being one acre lots, then we should have included it in the rural zone. I also feel for the Lowe family and the Booth family, whose names are synonymous with Manvel, that this council is going to limit who they can sell their property to fit a subdivision into their land that isn't compliant with our comprehensive plan. That's not fair to these people either. I understand that there's concern in the room, and I have sympathy for you, but lot size alone should not be what we're worried about here. Now, I share concerns on traffic, and I share concerns on drainage, and I share concerns on what mud you're going to get into and what that's going to be. But I'm a taxpayer in the city, and I'm a ratepayer in the city, and I would like to see more rooftops to lower my tax burden, and I would like to see more rooftops to lower the rates that I pay for water, and to try to force a developer to do 1 acre lots in a part of the comprehensive plan that doesn't include it. All other things being satisfied is simply not right. And I'll give the rest of my time to Garrett.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Rossi Knox?
So I am also someone that has an issue with the lot sizes, but I'll express some of my other concerns. You've given us these papers of history. I'm curious, why is this I'll just let you answer that.
The purpose was I knew I was going to have to move quickly through the slides, and I didn't give enough justice or time to truly acknowledge how much history there is with these families. These families they've farmed, they've raised beef cattle, and some of them real estate developer as well. But their family members are also buried in the local cemetery and others. So the history, and you got to think about their heartstrings and what it takes to make a decision to, let go of something that's been so precious to their family for years. So thank you for that.
I understand. My family has had a similar history here in this town. When I think of history, I don't think of, I guess what I'm asking is, would there be anything on this property that's preserved to kind of give us a notion that there is going to be some history taken into account? Are there any trees that are going to be preserved? Are you going to carve out an area of this property that's going to be an actual amenity for this community? I don't see a detention pond and a walking trail as being, I don't know, it just doesn't seem very like historical preservation to me. And that's kind of what I look for on this council. Everyone has their own strong suits and things that they want to see in developments. But I'm always someone that tries to get developers to present an image forward for us. When I ran for office, I wanted our community to present an idea of who we are and what we want to be. And I've sat up here and we looked at other developments, and we, on the west side of town, and we looked at developments that were going to connect into older areas of towns with larger lots. And some of those projects, the developers were going to cap it off and not dump the traffic into those older areas of town. So another one of my concerns would be the traffic. I don't like how this would dump traffic on the cemetery. I don't like how it would dump it on Lewis. I don't like how it would dump it onto Flora. I don't see how that's going to be beneficial for anyone, honestly. I don't like the lot sizes, like I said, and I also don't support the mud. So there's a lot that has to be changed here, and the last 3 weeks I thought that we were going to be getting some kind of a plan back from you guys that was going to be different. There was a lot of feedback from the community. There was some comments from council, and this seems very similar to what we had seen before going on, being posted around online and being emailed and whatnot. So this doesn't seem like it's changed a whole lot from what I've seen before, and that's certainly disappointing. So I do not support it as it stands currently.
All right, thank you, Councilman. So Dan, this item tonight, this is just a workshop item. There's not any vote for us to take, but obviously there's, I guess, a question lingering, like what's next from here? Do we need a thumbs up, thumbs down? Like what does the path forward look like?
Thank you, Mayor. And that's sort of what we've done with the last two residential developments. Remember, we had one on the far north side of town that was in the rural preservation area, and then also one on the south side of town that was in the rural preservation area. And I mean, anytime you're trying to develop a piece of property, there's monies that go into all the feasibility and everything. So that's just sort of, I think, the approach that we've adopted with these other potential developments. So I don't think it's a formal vote, to your point. I think it's more of, it seems like just keeping a tally. It seems like it's probably 1-6 maybe, but I mean, I think that would be helpful for them so that they know, do they want to go spend the money on a traffic impact analysis or a drainage impact analysis? Maybe they're going to push forward anyway, but I think they should know, because this is ultimately the board that is going to tell you or not.
Yep, agree. Okay, and before we ask that question of council, Dan, if we wanted to change the land use plan, what would that process look like?
Sure, we can update the land use plan. We can do it, internally, or we could, get with our consultant again. Either way, we've certainly done that with the thoroughfare plan over the years. That comp plan, I think, is the third one, if memory serves, throughout the years. So it's certainly possible to update it.
Okay, so would it go through PD&Z, council, follow that standard process?
Public hearings and all that
Public
kind
hearings.
of
Okay, sounds good. So, Councilwoman?
I was just going to say, I do think that if we do move forward, just using one of the pointers that Councilman Albert just gave, if we are not going to move forward with this, I do think the comprehensive plan needs to be updated to avoid this, because I can understand the frustration if you're trying to sell your land and then you have someone that's there and they're following the directions and whatnot, but it needs to be updated. So we might need to spend that money.
Yeah, and I think as a clarification, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a difference between the comprehensive plan and the land use plan. Obviously, there's some connectedness between the two, but they're also distinct in and of themselves.
Yeah, the future land use plan is a component of the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan, just like the word suggests, it's comprehensive in terms of different aspects of the physical development of the city, including your transportation, which gives you the major thoroughfare plan, land use gives you the future land use and character map. Then there are elements of like resources, environment, things of that sort. So it's a piece within the comprehensive plan.
Perfect, thank you, Jose. So council, kind of to ask the question here, is there anyone that is interested in seeing this project take the next step according to the timeline presented?
I'm not against it per se. It's just, for me, the biggest thing would be the traffic and the drainage.
Yeah.
So because there hasn't actually been an investment in that traffic study, to me, it, you know, like I definitely, and I know you said it was farther along, but I mean, we would need it for sure. Like I know you said that it's doable, like it could support, the roads can support that traffic right now, but it's not.
Councilman?
To tell these people no at this juncture, it's premature. We don't have enough information. And if we're only going off of the acreage usage, then we're only perpetuating the stereotype that this city is hard to deal with. Because we don't know what we don't know yet. The traffic is still the biggest thing. The mud is the biggest thing, but the lot size should not be a reason to tell them not to see if they can solve their other problems.
And if I may, the traffic and the drainage are the two easier ones to solve. I mean, that's just a matter of what improvements are required to make it safe according to standards. For us, we approach this because we followed the comprehensive plan to our understanding of it. I met with city manager and Joe's, and we feel the definition of what we presented actually exceeds what could be built. And everything that we went back to the drawing board and removed what was a 50s, 60s, and 70s, we got rid of the 60s completely and moved in the direction, 50s, thank you, and moved in the direction of the larger lots. Sure, we couldn't go back and feasibly make half-acre or one-acre lots work. I mentioned that earlier. But we went back and wrote what I believe, very nice plan. I've been doing this for 21 years, and I have some of the most awarded communities in this greater Houston area. I would like the opportunity to move forward and continue discussions. But again, if it's a hard no on wanting to stick with half-acre, one-acre, and go rechange your comprehensive plan that you've spent time on already, then we will take that into consideration as well. So.
Mayor, I have one more comment.
Let's let Councilman Albert finish. We'll go yours, and then I'll have one more, and then we'll wrap this up.
And I want to underscore that point, because just because I'm saying I'm a yes, I want them to move forward, that doesn't mean that I'm saying I'm going to agree to your development. You got to answer the drainage questions, the traffic questions, and the mud questions for me first. If you don't answer those questions for me to my satisfaction, then I'm not going to be a yes. But I'm saying I don't feel like I have enough information yet to tell you to stop looking for answers.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I wanted I made 4 points, not just one. Lot sizes wasn't my only thing. While it's a big thing, the mud deal is a bigger thing to me. When you say you're not going to add money to the tax, you are just simply because you're going to add time. So at the end of where I would have stopped paying for a mud, now I've got $10 million more to pay off. And I've got people that have lived in a subdivision, in one case for over 10 years and another for over 4, that now I've got added payments to that they're not having any benefit to. So that's why I'm against the mud. The muds are not transparent right now on how they do their business. So we're just adding to a problem that's really bigger than we can handle right now. That's why we're working on trying to change some things. The other things is the roads. When you say that's the easiest part, then you haven't dealt with TxDOT at all in your lifetime. I'm just serious. We see this on a daily basis of our citizens complaining about TxDOT controlled roads, one of which is 1128 and Highway 6. It's not easy. So I take offense to that statement that it's just the easiest thing in the world. That's ridiculous. So I just want to clear up the deal about the muds, because it does, can keep the mud tax the same, or the board can keep the mud tax the same. There's no way they can get around adding time to it if they do that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So to wrap this up, I want to respond to the comment of being hard to deal with. If standing in the gap and fighting for our citizens means that we're hard to deal with, then that's fine. I'll take on that stereotype. But I push back on that stereotype because if we were hard to deal with, we wouldn't be having this workshop. We wouldn't be having the meetings. We wouldn't have those conversations. We wouldn't have seen over $300 million of capital investment just in commercial within our city alone. I think that stereotype of being hard to deal with is far gone, and I hope that the community, development, council, staff sees that. We've found ways to say yes. We've also found ways to say no, because we are here to serve the people in this room, and sometimes that does mean making people unhappy whenever you make decisions. To go to the comments about zoning and lot size drives everything. That drives drainage. That drives traffic. That drives tax revenue. That drives crime. That drives public safety. That drives everything. So the way I've always looked at development is first, let's look at the lot size. Are you willing to go with less than 1 home per 1 acre? Because then that feeds into less permeable coverage, that feeds into wear and tear on the roads, that feeds into congestion, because I'll tell you what, during rush hour, that traffic light on Lewis and 1128 is a nightmare. I avoid it at all costs. So to say that it's okay to handle what this traffic is going to propose, I would encourage you guys to sit there during rush hour traffic. The land use map is a piece of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan specifically dictated that there are spots for suburban residential. Sometimes it takes the community waking up, identifying, hey, this might be inaccurate, and it takes us being humble enough to say, yeah, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe we shouldn't have zoned that area as suburban residential from a land use standpoint. Maybe that does need to be more estate. And the beautiful thing about government is you can change things. It just shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction. It should say, let's take a look at it, see what the community wants. How does that feed into our decisions here? So that's my rant for this evening. Gentlemen, I know this wasn't necessarily the easiest conversation. I hope that this gives you guys some good feedback, some good perspective. As you can see, we have a variety of perspectives, but we're all colleagues, we're all friends, we all work together here, even when we have different perspectives. Take this, digest it, let staff know how you would like to proceed, and we'll wait to hear from you guys. So, thank you.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
All right, council, do you guys want to take a 5-minute recess here, or do you guys want to just jump? Yes. Okay, I'm hearing yes. We'll take a 5-minute recess, so let's rejoin at 6:25 p.m. Thank you. City Council meeting to order here at 6:28 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Before we begin, just a moment of privilege. I want to give a shout out to the entire team here at City Hall for our 4th of July festives that we had with the competitions, the tree planting that happened on Saturday morning. There was a lot of work, a lot of partnership. Thank you to everybody that made that possible. It is much appreciated. We'll now begin with the invocation, and I'll lead us in a small invocation this evening. So if you please would close your eyes, bow your head. Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for your grace, for your provision, for your protection. As we sit in this meeting tonight, we ask for clarity, wisdom, and strength to do the right thing, which may not always be the popular thing, but it is the right thing. We ask that you bless everyone here, that you keep them safe as they head home. We thank you for the city. Thank you for the stewardship of it and the opportunity that it provides. We pray this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Next, we have the inspirational reading from Councilman Jason Albert. Councilman.
Thank you. Despite our 250th birthday, our country has not been more divided since the Civil War. There was a time when we all got along. We worked together despite our differences, and we got things done. Not anymore. Ask anyone who's to blame, and the answer is the same: those people. Does someone, because of who I love, how I pray, how I believe, I am those people. To someone else, because of who you pray to, what you believe, and how you vote, you are those people. We can fix this. We can find our strength and get past this. If we're to succeed, we have to remember and treat those people simply as people.
Thank you, Councilman. Next, we have the pledge. So if you can, please stand and join me in saying the pledges. First, to the U.S. flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. Next, we have a presentation that we will be giving to Mr. Brian, who was the winner of Manvel's America 250 commemorative logo contest. So Tammy, can you speak to us? What was this contest?
So the idea actually came up last year, Mayor, when you sent the email that said, hey, let's start trying to think about some ideas that we can do to promote the 250 years. And so we tried to think of some things that wouldn't be heavy on a budget that we hadn't planned for. So one of them was coming up with a contest. The original logo for the city was through a contest, and there were probably 400 entries for our original logo. And so it was like, look, if we got that kind of input before the world of technology, drawn in crayon and colored, let's see what we could do for this. So we got some great entries. This one was the one that kind of matched what we were looking for in regards to it kept our original concept as well as added the 250 years and what it meant to whoever was submitting the requirements or their design. And so Brian's was the winner. What we're doing is we're keeping it on everything that we could put it on, minus vehicles and stuff, for the entire month. We do have the banner outside. We'll probably keep that banner up until it fades. It just is a nice addition to the wall, and it's not specific to necessarily the 4th of July, but just the spirit in general. And then you'll notice we all have the shirts, so there's a shirt that he will get that everybody wore on the 4th of July, as well as our agendas have the logo on it, our stationery has the logo on it. So anyways, I'm not sure if Brian's out there because I've not met him yet.
All right, Brian, if you want to come forward, let's give him a round of applause. Council, if you guys want to come forward.
We're coming out to you. Stay right there. Stay right there.
have a shirt here for you that has, this is what the front of it is. And then on the back, it actually has your logo here on the back that all city staff has. And then we also have a special commemorative plaque that is presented to you that refers to your creativity that helped us capture the spirit of our community as we celebrate 250 years of American independence. And so we have this here for you as well. We'll look at the phone first. All right, now we can look at that. Awesome. Good job, Courtney. Great job. All right, next we'll go on to public comments. We have a few, council, that were submitted here. Not to read them all, but just to provide them as a part of public record. Dwayne Blaylock is opposed to the Risewell development. Carrie Blaylock opposed. Eileen Estrada opposed. Trendon Hubner opposed. Richard and Elvira Perkins opposed. Helen Berger opposed. Ben McMillan opposed. We now have a lot of comments that have been requested to be made publicly. One of the things that our city attorney informed me that I can do, instead of, if you would like to avoid coming up to the podium, if you are opposed to the Risewell development, please stand so we can see your opposition. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So now when I read your name, if you'd rather not come up and you can just say that you stood in opposition, that is your prerogative there. The first comment that we have is from Mr. Rodney off of Alabama Street. Rodney, hello, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record here, and then you'll have 3 minutes with a timer on the screen for you to take a look at. Thank you for being here tonight. 3 minutes, Mr. Rodney. I remember you from last time. I remember Mr. Rodney.
Okay, Rodney Alexander, 6918 Alabama Street. I just spent 37 minutes trying to make it here on time. Now, I know y'all want to build more houses, but it originally started 1 acre per house. I think they need to make it 5 acres per house, because first, hold on, 1128 cannot handle it because the church have good events, a beautiful drone show. If we have one wreck, where we going to go? Manvel cannot handle that unless Ricewood, or whatever the name of the company is, got an overpass going to 288, which only 2 lanes, 1 wreck on 288 is over with. So where are they going to go to? To the moon? I can't see how it's going to happen. I know everybody want to sell their property. Let's make a park out of it. Everybody get together and buy something from it. But it cannot have 100 homes over there. Where it's going to leave to? 1128? They can't go down Highway 6. They can't go down 288. Where they going to go? It's back to the moon. Now, can I take 3 more minutes?
Mr. Rodney, you got a minute and 15 seconds.
Okay, so all these council members right now, I don't really know none of them, because when I got here, with none of them here, including Mr. Mayor. We kept it simple. Everybody moved this way to keep it simple. It don't take that long to drive from work to here. That shouldn't be a job. From home to the job, the traffic is too far. TxDOT is not allowing y'all to have no more than 2 lanes on 288, 2 lanes, 1 lane really on 1128. So where you gonna put the traffic at? I mean, it's got to go somewhere. 1 wreck will kill Manvel besides the lawsuits. We can't afford that. I know it's on the rise, and I love it's rising, but we got messed over on the McDonald's. You know what I'm talking about, the McDonald's. It shouldn't have been there, but it was there. How did that happen? Nobody gonna answer. So to let this happen again, it shouldn't happen. We can't put them kind of houses and cars and people besides all the new police cars we got. We got a lot of new police cars. And guess what's gonna happen? Anytime you got growth, we're gonna have crime. We can't handle more crime. The crime is out the limit. It's enough lawsuits going on right now. How do we need any more than what we have? We move here for peace and quiet, country, little city. Now we all city. We're not Houston, we're not Pearland. How, oh, my 3 minutes up, can I take another 3?
You got, I started it on here. That was a little delayed, so you got 40 seconds.
Okay, so where we go from here? We cannot allow this to happen. I know they want to build more houses, more people come to Houston. I'm not worried about Houston. I'm worried about Manvel Plaza, which y'all going to affect. Manvel Plaza, the first subdivision of Manvel, who would have a right and a say-so of all of this. How does it keep coming up? We fought the hotel like crazy. Now we got to fight a development company? It shouldn't happen. We have no roads, no infrastructure, nothing to support it. And I'm all against it. Growth, I love growth. I didn't like all this stuff. There should be a mile radius of everything. So you can't put 50 houses. 1128 can't handle 10 houses.
Mr. Rodney, that's your 3 minutes right there. Appreciate it. Thank you,
Y'all
sir.
run me out.
You're good. Thank you, Mr. Rodney. All right, we have Miss Heidi Zimmer next. Miss Heidi, it looks like we got the screen up here for you this time too. So thank you for being here tonight.
Heidi Zimmer, 21226 Creek Road. I'm going to be super unpopular and just ask questions because I'm getting older and I don't want an acre. I want there to be a development that comes in for retired folk that have smaller lots. And I have 12 nieces and nephews. There are no starter homes anymore being built in Manvel, and I think that's really sad. My subdivision has a whole bunch of small starter homes. They're on 1 1/3 acres because of the well and septic from years ago. But I feel really bad that my 12 nieces and nephews don't have anywhere to live, and I don't think that's just in Manvel. I think it's other places. So I just feel really bad. I feel like I have been able to enjoy Manvel for 25 years. When I moved here 25 years ago, I thought this place was ready to pop and grow. What is happening now, I thought was going to happen 25 years ago. So I didn't come here thinking we were going to stay the same. I thought we were going to grow. So I'm just a little different. Now, I'm totally respectful of the people who are around these houses. So I just want to ask questions, and I'm not saying I'm for or against because I don't drive in that neighborhood. And I want to be respectful of my neighbors. But as a community, I think we need to ask ourselves, where are the old people going to go who don't want an acre? And where are the young people going to go? And, just ask ourselves those questions. I would hope that we can think about drainage in a more sophisticated way, because as far as I understand, if you had houses with 1 acre, so say this land was sold and people put a house on 1 acre and it was sold individually, not in a big subdivision, but individually, then all that water goes into the ditches and there would be no detention ponds. Like, as far as I can understand, these big subdivisions with the planned drainage help the drainage situation. That's my understanding of it. And so I'd like to understand that a little bit better. And I think I put something else on my list there. Can you see? I sort of brainstormed. I want to talk about old people. I want to talk about starter homes.
Drainage and taxes.
Taxes. And I know it's very complex, but I would like to finally see some more restaurants and some more shops and some more here in Manvel, and that's not going to happen if we don't have more houses. So again, I'm not saying for or against. I missed the first 45 minutes of the presentation. I was there for the earlier one, but I'm just saying I feel bad for people. There's a place for diversity, for having some smaller lots, and it might be here and it might not be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heidi. Appreciate you being here tonight. Next, we have Mr. Robert Williams. Mr. Robert, if you could state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes, sir. Thank you for being here tonight.
Robert Williams, 7502 Lewis Lane. I just want to say I feel like we should, the council should keep the acreage at a minimum of 1 acre as it stands right now. And also something else I thought about is that a number of homes in that area behind Lewis Lane and Cemetery are actually on 2 acres. Some of them may be more. But along Lewis Lane, at least 5 of those homes are already on 2 acres.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. Appreciate you being here tonight, sir. Next, we have Mr. Eddie Wisnowski. Mr. Eddie, good to see you, sir. Oh, we got to wait for you to get up to the podium. I know, you're trying to.
Hello, I'm Eddie Wisnowski, live at 6215 Cemetery Road. I'm probably on the way end of the spectrum. I never liked the growth from the beginning. I like going to Alvin for stuff, I like going to Pearland for stuff, and coming back to a rural community. So the restaurants didn't impress me. I use them, and I appreciate everything that's here, but I was always better off going and coming back. The traffic already, I can't even get out Cemetery Road now. In the mornings, I have to come to Lewis, go to the light, come to 6, go to the light and go left just to be safe. So I don't understand how the traffic is supposed to be simple. I suppose that you're wanting to take people's property on Cemetery to widen those streets. I don't know if that's eminent domain. I don't know how that works, but you would literally have to take people's properties to do that. The people that present this aren't the ones involved in this. They don't live here. They're going to go back to wherever they live. Maybe it's a subdivision. Maybe they already live on acreage. But I can promise you, they don't care about the impact that they're going to cause us. So they're going to come here. They're going to try to talk us into something totally different than what's been proposed, what's been zoned, and go back to wherever they live. And it's all about the dollar. I could care less about them making any money off of this at all. I do care for the Lowe family and the Peters family. I understand that they want to sell their property. They should be able to sell their property. But just because you're willing to buy their property doesn't mean that you get to change the laws and that you get to change the zoning. So that's where I stand on it. I know how this all works. They go off on their way. They're gone. We're stuck with what we have. Our green space is going to get, demolished, basically. The traffic is going to be, I don't know about the drainage. I'm no drainage study person. I wouldn't think it would help, but I can tell you the traffic will be atrocious. It's already bad. Somebody mentioned earlier that we already have more traffic on Cemetery and on Lewis than it's even proposed for. They're saying that it can handle more. I don't see it. And if there's someone in here that's going to give up their land to widen the road, let me know. I might want to buy some of it. But this is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I'm all for the 1 acre. I'm all for them being able to sell their property. But if we can keep it to 1 acre and they're willing to do that, then I understand that that's what would happen, and there's a place and time for that. But I'm definitely against anything less than 1 acre.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie. Next, we have Mr. Chad Rogers. Chad, if you could just come up, state your name. You don't have to state your address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak, sir.
You guys hear me okay? Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I just want to say I appreciate the families being here today. It takes a lot of guts to sit in front of a room when a lot of people don't want to hear what you have to say or what you want to do with your property. So I appreciate that. My family's also here. My young daughters are here. I think it's important for them to see why elections matter. And they'll be voting in a couple years, so I think it's important for them to be able to see our elected officials actually speak and take a stand and speak on what they believe in and how they believe. I appreciate Tammy's PowerPoint. Still has wooden fences and a horse and a windmill, showing the country life that we all so appreciate and love. I'm for 1 acre lots, nothing less. I appreciate the family history and the thoughtful presentation that was here today. My family's been here for 7 years. My kids have basically grown up here. They've rode horses at Sundance Ranch, which is now just bulldozed, and where Meridiana is building their houses. I didn't know we had a McDonald's because the sign to Meridiana is bigger than the McDonald's. I don't get it. That thing is huge. The inspirational quote, Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think to a degree, the plan has been punched in the face. in your plan, I was reading it tonight, let's say our plan because we live here. As a community, we know that new development is coming and a certain amount of it is welcome and needed. We want to make sure, however, that it fits and it does not overwhelm us. We do not want the same anonymous standard issue development we see everywhere else. Tonight, the presentation said it focused on the comprehensive plan. In my opinion, it missed all the other pages of the comprehensive plan that talked about the community values of enjoying a town and a country lifestyle, being apart from Greater Houston, and a desire for safe, uncongested roads and neighborhoods, preserving the area's natural and rural landscape. My house is the house in the flooded pick. I would rather that property flood than have 270 houses behind my property. I've dealt with that flooding for 7 years, and I think that picture is a little misleading considering we had enough rain dumped on our property to flood most anybody at this time. And my property is the one that drains everybody's. So a little misleading on that picture, but I understand why they did it. It was to prove a point. So I stand you as the owner of that property saying I am happy to keep it flooding if these neighbors back here don't have to deal with 250-something houses behind us. And with that being said, I yield my 13 minutes. I don't know if I can give them to Mr. Rodney or not, but thank you.
I do not believe, Mr. Chad, that you can yield the time to Mr. Rodney. That is not a part of our rules and procedures. Next, we have Pastor Tim Liston. Pastor Tim, thank you for being here tonight, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record, the floor is yours.
Tim Liston, 7432 Lewis Lane. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I spoke last time, but honestly, I don't remember what I said because I was so nervous. But obviously, you quoted me too, which I felt very honored in front of everyone. So I went back and I told my wife, I said, I guess I said something. So anyway, so I'm for 1 acre lots, obviously, and nothing short of that. And I just don't want our area, this slice of Manvel that is, zoned 1 acre. I just don't want to see this area become the urban sprawl that a lot of small towns now have regretted around the Houston area. If somebody wants to buy, a smaller home on a crowded lot, there are many, many places within 15 minutes to find them. So I would just say let's protect what we got here. I know, and I may have said this last time, that there's probably reasons to change the zoning, maybe good ones, I don't know. But one that I had heard floating around was, well, if we don't do this, if we don't accept the revised plans, then the next time that they come, we may have a different city council and they'll do something differently, and then there'll be more than 300 homes back there. They'll jam them in. And I'll just say, future scenarios are not a reason to break the word or the promise of the city. It's not a good reason. And since, honestly, I feel better being here today, but I don't know how it's going to work out long term. But I will predict that if the council votes to allow this developer to break the 1 acre promise, then that opens up the floodgates. For every piece of land, that opens up the floodgates. And what we're going to see is that Manvel will be jammed with the urban sprawl that surrounds Houston right now. So I'm just asking you, as you quoted me, I'm asking you guys to keep the promise. If the promise of living in a rural community is broken eventually, so be it. But I would just say, don't be the administration that breaks it first. Don't break it. Be different than every other suburban area around Houston. Be the ones who protect the rural heart of Manvel. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Pastor Tim. Next, we have Deborah Williams. Ms. Deborah. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hi, I'm Deborah Williams. I live at 7502 Lewis Lane. I'm for the 1 acre lots. Adding a large number of homes in this area is going to put a strain on the infrastructure and the traffic and have long-term impacts on the roads and overall quality of life. It's going to take away the country living from the surrounding neighbors. We enjoy our town and country lifestyle. Some of the concerns that we've heard is infrastructure, traffic, poor drainage. But we also have safety concerns to think about with that many people moving into that one area. Potential crime, light pollution, strain on the police and fire departments, homes becoming rental properties maybe. You have new home construction damaging the existing roads, which we've already complained about or can't handle the traffic as it is, and loss of the small town feel. We want to preserve the natural environment, keep that country feel with openness, green spaces, trees, and wildlife. We want to continue to enjoy the peace and quiet, and that's part of the comprehensive plan also. And one of the things that the Risewell people did was use Terra Estates as an example in their presentation. This is 66 homes. Multiply this by 4, and that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look pretty crowded on itty-bitty small lots with little houses, and we want the country feel. We don't want the little houses and the Cracker Bucks houses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deborah. Next, we have a Mr. Rick Taylor. Mr. Rick, state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you for being here tonight.
Rick Taylor at 20611 Georgia. I've been here 32 years. My house is one lot off of Cemetery. And I can tell you in the 32 years, there's been a lot of change in the traffic. Instead of going, because TxDOT built the lane blockages on 6, a lot of people go all the way down to Mississippi off Georgia to get onto 6 going that direction. So keep that in mind when you look at traffic studies. The drainage is the next big issue. You've seen my lot. I think I saw you driving by my house after the last storm, actually. And you saw me floating around in my canoe. When they build new houses in my neighborhood, they require them to be raised up 2 foot off of what there is currently. That's going to be a big difference. I don't see how they can push the water from 100 acres south enough to not make a difference in our subdivision. Mr. Rodney, my good neighbor, said much better than I did, so I'll let it go at that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Ms. Jan Weed. Ms. Jan, if you can state your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, sir. I'm Jan Weed. I live at 6703 Crestridge. I just want to thank the mayor and the council for giving us a voice on this Risewell Homes development. Basically, a year ago in the month of June, the citizens of Manvel were here voicing their opinions on a proposal to disrupt our community by the proposed courtyard by Marriott. Then in March of 2026, there was a council meeting for the proposed development of the Belcher tract of land, which was shut down unless changes were made to their development plans. Now, here we are in July of 2026, and we are here again to voice our opinions about the proposed Risewell subdivision development in our very own backyard for those who live on the east side of Masters Road. As we stated earlier, this area is to be as was stated earlier, this area is to be rurally preserved, and that the City Council has deemed any home built has to be on a 1 acre plot of land. We, the citizens that live in the area of Lewis Lane, Cemetery Road, and Flora, will be greatly affected if this proposed subdivision is allowed to be built. Yes, we are still beating a dead horse with the very same concerns that we've had for the last year. Traffic with no known road improvements by the county or TxDOT, property de-evaluation, safety concerns, increased crime, infrastructure, school saturation, and flooding. While all of these issues are very concerning, the most concerning to me is flooding. As we all know, we live in a swamp and are often hit with hurricanes or tropical depressions that drop biblical proportion rains on us. In 1979, a tropical depression set over the Alvin area and dropped 46 inches of rain. Tropical storm Allison hit the Houston area in 2001 with 40 inches of rain, and in 2017, Hurricane Harvey dumped 50 inches of rain. If you believe the global warming scenario, it is only going to get worse. Add to the weather disasters the building of one subdivision after another, adding tons and tons of cement and fill dirt above street level, the water has no place to go. When these subdivisions are built, what happens to those of us who live in our forever homes right here in Manvel? Currently, we now have 8 existing subdivisions in Manvel, and now Meridiana is building out their last section of homes with over 3,000 homes in our area. You mix in Risewell to all of this, and we have a disaster on our hands. What happens to those of us surrounding the proposed Risewell development? What will happen to the rural preservation, and what will happen to the 1-acre lots? And what happens to us? With the next huge hurricane and our biblical rains, we lose our forever homes because of flooding issues, because now 261 additional homes will be built, a subdivision within a subdivision. The costs to rebuild are astronomical. Can we even expect a proper insurance settlement? And once a home floods, its value is decreased, and there's no forgiveness on our taxes just because it's flooded. I know at some point that we may have a mayor or a council who actually listens. We do have a council that listens to concerns, but in the future, we may not have that. I know that rules and regulations can be changed, but if there is supposed to be rural preservation of 1-acre lots, why are we moving chess pieces, and why are we constantly fighting for our homes?
Ms. Jan,
so as a citizen, I just implore you to let us have the confidence that our forever homes can be in a rural designated area. Thank you.
Ms. Jan. Next, we have Lindsay McClintock. I hope I didn't butcher your last name there. So thank you for being here tonight. If you could just state your name and address for the record, 3 minutes, and the floor is yours.
My name is Lindsay McClintock. I live at 7444 Lewis Lane in Manvel. Thank you for the ability to speak here. I live directly adjacent to the proposed Risewell Homes development. And for my family, this is not an abstract planning issue. This proposal would permanently change the land directly behind our home. Manvel's leadership has been clear that growth should not just happen for the sake of growth. We saw that recently when residents packed this room to oppose the hotel development on Cemetery Road, a proposal that thankfully was voted against. These same residents are here again tonight. We are not people who are opposed to everything. We are active, invested neighbors who care deeply about Manvel's future and who will continue showing up to make sure the development in our literal backyards meets the standards the city has set. This proposal does not come close to meeting that standard. Risewell's materials describe lots ranging from 7,200 to 10,000 square feet. Even the largest lots are still under half an acre, and the smallest are roughly 1/6 the minimum lot size requirement for this area. That is not a rural residential development. And while the materials reference parks, sidewalks, and detention ponds, those features do not change the fundamental nature of this proposal. Sidewalks and pocket parks do not turn dense subdivision lots into a rural compatible development. Frankly, this seems like a cookie-cutter subdivision plan that could be dropped into almost any fast-growing community. And they have 7 different times in the Houston area alone. There's very little about this proposal that reflects a real understanding of Manvel's identity. This is not about opposing every development or saying that nothing can ever be built. It's about whether this specific proposal reflects Manvel's priorities. Risewell had the opportunity to revise its original plan based on community and leadership feedback, but this revised proposal still falls far short of what residents have been asking for and what this area requires. I understand that developers are businesses, and businesses have financial returns that they're trying to achieve. But when a developer asks the city for exceptions for a plan that will permanently change the surrounding community and potentially set a precedent for future development, the burden should be on the developer to make the project fit Manvel, not on Manvel to bend its standards. If this land cannot be developed in a way that meets the city's vision, then that is not a reason to approve a lesser plan. It's a reason to demand a better one. I ask that you not approve any public cooperation for this project until the plan is redesigned to be consistent with the vision that Manvel has articulated for itself. Thank you for your time and for your selfless service to this community.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Next, we have George Motter. Mr. George, if you could state your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. George Motter, 7510 Flora Road, and this is going to be hard to follow up on all of our great speakers tonight. You know, I appreciate the history that Risewell provided, but I really doubt those dairy farmers would think this was a great idea. You know, in fact, if you look at the plat, these are not 3 big lots. These are 31 lots. These lots have already been divided into homesteads. They have already divided some of these plots into some of the land and some of the homes that we have now today. Risewell used the 2045 comprehensive plan to make their case, but it's not even close to the mix that that plan provides. It's really what they're doing is they're finding the minimum, and they're saying, well, this is the minimum for the plan, so I'll just do all of these instead of the spirit of the plan, as we've discussed before. You know, all that dirt from digging those retention ponds, somebody brought it up, but I was wondering, what are they going to do with all that dirt? They're going to raise the elevation of all those lots. So what is that going to do to all of the properties that are now lower than those lots that they've just created? We're going to have more flooding. We're not going to have less flooding. It's not going to help our drainage problems. It's going to make them worse. So let's do a fact check real quick. So they say they're 0.2 miles from the elementary school, but if you look at the map, that is from the edge of the elementary school lot to the edge of the lot that they're proposing. It's actually a half a mile walk between the closest house and the front door of the elementary school. So, you know, you wonder, okay, if they're stretching the truth a little bit, you know, what else are they stretching the truth about? You know, making this proposal look very good. Well, I also looked at the Cedar Street. You know, they're asking you to improve Cedar Street. It also includes a bridge, so you'd have to also improve that bridge into that Cedar Street entrance. And let's talk about Flora Road. It's not wide enough for 2 lanes. That road, if they connect to it, would have to be widened. And of course, many people have said how awful that intersection is between Flora Road and Cemetery. And of course, Cemetery and 6, we all know about that. You know, they both transplanting few trees and building some tiny parks, but they're going to bulldoze 50 acres of dense woodland. And ironically, they're going to rip out a tree farm to plant some trees. So I ask, why would Manvel want to even entertain this? We don't have a housing or land shortage. We have plenty of plans already on the books to handle housing growth, and Risewell has no roots or obligation to the community. It's a big corporate out-of-town developer looking to weave a collection of lots together in an established neighborhood, build as many homes as possible, and walk away. It's very obvious that they don't care to integrate into the existing neighborhood or the plan. They need us for their bottom line. We don't need them. There are many other far more suitable plots of land around the city that are already cleared and ready for high-density development. There's no reason why these landowners, with a reasonable expectation of value and effort, could not sell this land as compliant large lots. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. We have 3 comments remaining. Next up is Ms. Brandy Russell. Ms. Brandy, if you could state your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us. All right, I'm Brandy Russell. I live at 7220 Cemetery Road. I spoke at this meeting 3 weeks ago, and I just want to reiterate that I'm opposed to any lot size that's smaller than 1 acre. Google says that Manvel is made up of about 15,000 acres. All we're asking is that you leave our little neighborhood the way it's currently zoned, which is open single-family residential with minimum 1 acre lots. For the developer, this is a business transaction. During the presentation, I kept hearing the word phase, you know, the first phase, the second phase. This scares me. This tells me that we're on the path of being pushed out of our home so this developer can squeeze as many houses in as possible. We didn't choose to live in a subdivision like this. this. The pictures of the homes in the presentation were beautiful, but they look like every other home in every other subdivision. What we have in our area is unique. When you drive down our street, you can tell one house from another and one piece of property from another. Again, we're not opposed to the development of the land. We just want the development to be cohesive with the uniqueness of our neighborhood. We can do this by sticking with the current zoning. It's not just about having cute little farmettes. It's more homes means more crowding and all the problems that come with it. As far as the comment that Mr. Albert made about the taxpayers paying more taxes or paying less taxes as people move in. We moved here when the population was just over 3,000. We're at around 22,000 now, and I pay $18,000 a year in taxes. It's not going down. Taxes are still going up despite all the growth. I did have an idea just a few minutes ago, though. What if we designated that as historic Manvel? I'd pay for the signs, I'd build the signs, I'd post the signs. That little area could just be designated as historic Manvel, and we just leave it alone. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brandy. Next, we have Ann Fowler. Ms. Ann, if you could come forward and state your name and address for the record. Thank you for being here tonight. Are you here for the Risewell development too?
No.
No.
But I would have plenty to say about it if I was. My name is Ann Fowler. This is Debbie Grayson with me. We are members of the Alexander Hodge chapter of Daughters of the American Revolution, and we're here tonight to present Mayor Davis with a commendation medal and certificate for his efforts in promoting America 250. DAR, which is what Daughters of the American Revolution stands for, is a non-political, non-profit women's service organization formed in 1890 for the purpose of promoting patriotism, education, and historical preservation. Our motto is God, Home, and Country. All 200,000 members of DAR are proven descendants of someone who fought or aided the cause of the American Revolution, which makes this 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence so special to us. By promoting this special celebration, we are educating children and adults about our great American history, which will encourage the preservation of history and promote patriotism and pride in our nation. Mayor Davis, please accept this award presented to you on behalf of the Daughters of the American Revolution for your efforts in this once-in-a-lifetime, let me see if I can say this right, semi-quincentennial of America's founding. Thank you. Turn it on.
Thank you for this recognition. Certainly couldn't do it without my fellow council members and city staff, Tammy, Alyssa, Lisette, everybody that's been involved. So while you guys gave this to me, it's also much thanks to them for everything that they do. The last speaker that we have for tonight is Miss Angie Alley. Miss Angie, do you have a medal to give me as well? No, okay, all right. Okay.
My name's Angie Alley. My address is 8903 Quail Valley Drive. I'm here to talk about keeping Manvel rural, which relates to the Risewell development, but also just what we have been discussing for months with the comprehensive plan and trying to keep at least part of Manvel with the rural charm that it has now. And I feel like placing a subdivision in the middle of beautiful rural homes is going to just crush what makes Manvel special. If we wanted that, we would have stayed in Pearland and not search for 2 years to find a house that we love. And our house is not directly affected by this, but the drainage may affect us because we're down Mustang, and we saw how bad it flooded in just the last few weeks. And so even though it's not affecting us, it's affecting the character of the whole town and of the whole city. And we don't want to see, beautiful homes with teeny tiny houses in the backyard. Like, that's just not Manvel. And I hope that we stick with the 1 acre or more lots, and that someone can do something a little more creative to make our town special and to encompass what's already here and keep the trees and make it, something more special than just little houses that make developers money. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Angie. Tammy, do we have any other submitted comments? No? Great. We will now move on to the city manager update. Manager Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. And I guess we usually say, I'm happy to continue, but if y'all don't want to stay for the whole meeting and go see if U.S. can come back from their 1-0 deficit, that we understand. So can we just give them a minute to see if they want to leave?
Absolutely.
Did you say USA is losing?
We're losing 1-0 to Belgium. Belgium's good. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dan.
Bye-bye. Good to see you.
I would say that was the right call. So go ahead and announce it out loud. Right. So Mayor and Council, we've got some photos up on the screens right now. Yeah. So I'd like to do the same thing that you did, Mayor, and really talk about the 250 celebration that we had Saturday morning. Really want to just recognize the efforts of the team, because like Chad and Natalie and Lisette and Blake and Tammy and Aaron, there were a lot of people, a lot of public works folks out there 6:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, and it was exceptionally hot very quickly Saturday morning. But I mean, it was just so proud of the way that all of that came together. And really, we need to give a shout out to Earth First. They helped, they dug all the holes, they had the trees set out, they had a bag of topsoil and a bag of mulch. Some people realize that the soil goes in first and then the mulch. Some people realize that the plastic comes off of the tree before it goes into the ground. Some, I think, our guys are gonna have to go back out and correct that. I think they just took notes because they didn't want to disrupt the family picture moment there. But it was just so great. And there's actually some drone footage too. I think I sent that to y'all earlier that Earth First sent to us. So anyway, again, thanks to Lisette, Blake, Tammy, Jamie was also out there, Alyssa, and our public works team. So y'all did an awesome job. Next thing, because we had so many people in here tonight, it occurred to me, we have a parking lot extension that you've probably seen that's going to start wrapping around the building. So probably by the next council meeting, that will be all the way open, which is a great thing for visitors. However, the connection to the back parking lot is going to go away at the same time. So staff will be parking in what will be the Heritage Park parking lot probably by the next council meeting. So we're not going to open up a large avenue yet. We're actually going to use sort of the gate that's behind 7-Eleven for staff and council parking. So we know whenever we have a heavily attended meeting, Not all of our public is going to be able to park out front, so maybe on those nights, if it's a highly anticipated meeting, we might have to open up the back parking lot as well. But the moral to that story is the majority of the asphalt where we all park right now is that parking's going to go away because the metal for the new building gets delivered, what, in 2 weeks? Yep, next 2 weeks. So things are moving forward. Pretty exciting on the West Wing project. The third one is the Fall Fest. So that's coming up, and we have identified the time frame. So we're looking at noon to 7 on that. I should know the date. October 24th, right? October 24th, that Saturday. So noon to 7, with the idea is, so the first band will go from noon to 2, then a 2:30 to 3 break to allow them to get set up. 3, why am I doing this off the cuff? Sorry. Noon to 2, then 2:30 to 4:30, and then 5 to 7. So that's the time zone, or times for the 3 different groups. What we need from you is, yes, I've emailed y'all. No, you're going to get an email about a go, no-go for alcohol. And the reason that's an important point to this is, there's not a lot of parking at Croy Park. So if we want to use Alvin ISD or New Hope, their parking lot, and have the shuttles back and forth, they'll allow us, but the stipulation is not if we have beer or wine or whatever for sale. That is their stipulation. It's their parking lot, so we want to honor that. They did let us last year, but they didn't know that we were having it until it was too late, and so they didn't want to back out of the deal. So I think we're going to send a poll, right? If y'all can just kind of let us know, that's the last little thing that we need to figure out. Otherwise, we're going to have to get really creative with parking at Croy and sort of that little field next to it. Let's see, number 4, almost the last thing. City Center, P3, that one I did email y'all. Looking for some feedback. We got our first sort of proposal to do a feasibility study. I've heard from 2 of y'all, but I'd like to hear other comments or thoughts if y'all can look back over that. If you need me to resend it, I sure can. And then one of the 2 people in the audience we're going to introduce in a few minutes, but one, before we get there, is Andrea Broughton, our new city engineer. We've talked about this. This has been a very exciting time. Hello, Andrea. So really, really excited to have her on the team, and she's actually going to do, I guess her and Marilyn are going to do a presentation here in a little bit on our favorite topic of pump detention. I think that's it for now. Thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you, Dan. Dan, one request for the parking for City Hall, just for council, if there can just be a map sent out how we need to get to it, that'd be great. Thank you.
I had
All
a
right.
question.
Yes.
For the Fall Festival, are we using the same company as last year?
We are not. We're doing it in-house.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so next we'll move on to the consent agenda. Council, one item that we will remove from the consent agenda is going to be item number 2. Before we do that, any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will make a motion to amend the consent agenda to remove agenda item number 2. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Now we have the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda as amended? We have a motion from Councilman Rossi Knox. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Oplager. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. For the items removed from the consent agenda, council will take no action on the second and final reading of ordinance 2026-0-18 for it to come back forward once it has been discussed further at the staff level. Next, we will move on to the regular agenda, unless council, you guys have any comments or questions regarding the item removed from the consent agenda? Okay. All right, agenda item number 1. This is to concur with the city manager's decision to hire Jackie George as the assistant city manager. Manager Dan, we'll turn this over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Another very important milestone, all happening in a month. It's really pretty exciting. So it was 6 years ago next month that I changed gears to go from being a consulting city engineer for the city and came on staff as the first assistant city manager. That was 6 years ago next week. And then 3 years ago, I changed roles and have yet to backfill my position. each year when we have my annual review, council reminds me that I have not backfilled my position of assistant city manager. And it's, I suppose it was for good reason, you know. I mean, I think y'all know me well enough to know that I'm a spiritual man, and I truly believe that it was God's timing. We interviewed some great candidates. Looked like we had some really good options, but the option is in front of us finally, and it's Jackie George. And I'm just really, really tickled that she's entertained the idea and even said yes. So she's here tonight with her daughter as well, and appreciate y'all making the meeting tonight. When I said be here at 6, sorry, I didn't know what we were going to be up for, but it happens from time to time. So, Jackie, if you want to come on up and kind of introduce yourself. I don't know if you want to bring Presley with you or not, but. Yep, yes, please. You don't have to state your address, though.
I'm Jackie George. I know most of the people up here. I came from county leadership. I worked at the commissioner's office. Hey, Robbie. And I'm thrilled. When Dan asked me if I was interested, my brain just didn't even, it wasn't even an option in my mind. You know, I knew I was thinking, and I knew that I liked working with Dan. So this definitely has been a blessing, perfect timing. I'm really looking forward to it. Everybody I've ever worked with at Manvel, I'm a huge fan of. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackie. Council, do you guys have any comments or questions for Ms. Jackie? Mayor Pro Tem?
The only comment I would have would be to echo some of the same things Jackie said. I've known her, and I've never second-guessed her integrity on anything. I think she's a welcome addition to our city. I think the staff will enjoy working with somebody that literally looks out for the best interest of everybody else but herself all the time, 100%.
Thanks, Keith.
So I'm glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone else on council? We'll go Councilman Albert.
So I don't know you.
That's right.
But I know the guy that you're getting the job from, and that guy was pretty decent at what he did. So you got some pretty big shoes to fill. I'm looking forward to getting to know you and working with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Rossi Knox?
I'm not sure how I met you or how long I've known you. Campaigning.
Yeah.
She's amazing, so sweet. One of the things that stood out to me is she cares about the community. When myself and former Councilwoman Sarmiento had that drainage summit thing, and she came out and supported the community and talked with us. So, she's great.
Thank you.
What I'll just say, Jackie, is that one of the things my dad taught my brothers and I growing up is that you might not be the most talented, the most athletic, because we all played sports, but be the first one to show up, be the hardest working in the room, and be the last one to leave. And through our time knowing each other, I've seen you embody that. With the ups and downs of politics and government, you've been steadfast in the office that you've held, and I believe that this is God rewarding that faithfulness, and I'm looking forward to seeing the blessing that not just you, but your entire family will be to the community that I call home, and we're excited to work with you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, Council, with that, I will proudly make a motion to concur with the city manager's decision to hire Jackie George as the assistant city manager.
I'll second that.
We have a second from Councilman Jason Albert. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you.
When do you start, Jackie?
I'm going to start the beginning of August.
Awesome, exciting. All right, Council, this is consideration, next agenda item, consideration and possible action to approve Resolution 2026-R-38. This was unanimously approved at our last council meeting, but it is on the regular agenda. I don't believe we need a staff update on this, but Council, are there any comments or questions regarding this agenda item? Nope, hearing none. Do I have a motion for this?
Why wasn't it on the consent agenda?
Manager Dan, can you speak to that?
We should have had it on the consent.
Okay, now I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Councilman Albert, a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Next, agenda item number 3. This is consideration and possible action to approve the Manvel Crossing Master Plan.
Good evening, council members. This is a master plan for Manvel Crossing. So, Planning Development Zoning Commission recommended conditional approval in June 8, 2026, and it came to you all, and you made a motion to approve it, but it failed 4-2, and they provided revised documents. Staff reviewed them, and since then they revised the phasing plan. However, the exhibit still identifies a future phase without providing details regarding its scope or the anticipated timeline for its development. They also provided a concept landscape plan and a Kirby Drive construction responsibility exhibit. It's recommended by staff that the master plan includes a note referencing these documents. So based on all of these, staff recommends conditional approval. The only condition is about the verification of the acreage. It's not clear for staff how they calculated the acreage, since they excluded 8 acres from Primrose master plan and added that portion to Manvel Crossing. Applicant is here. They have a presentation.
Okay, perfect. And just as the applicant comes forward, just a clarification. So the recommendation is to approve, but conditional approval
Yes.
pending that one comment to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Brad, welcome. How are you, sir?
Welcome.
How are the little ones?
Jelly. Too long.
Yeah, kids doing good?
Doing great. 2 months old now. Almost sleeping through the night. We're good evening. Mayor and City Council, let me be. Hope everyone had a good holiday. My name is Brad Schweitzer, Director of Planning. I think I've met all of you at EHRA. And joining me this evening is Ashley Wagner from 3 weeks ago on this topic. And then a man who needs no introduction, Ryan Swinney with BCS, the developer of Manvel Crossing. So tonight, Ashley's going to walk you through a few of the items in your packet that you've already seen. Revised master plan, schematic landscape plan, and the Kirby construction exhibit to help provide some more clarity on the master plan itself. And then following Ashley's presentation, Ryan will be available for any questions that you guys may have. But before I turn things over to Ashley, I do just want to say it's encouraging the level of interest that this council has in this development. I think it's a very positive thing. I know it's slowed us down a little bit in having this conversation, but I think it's good. I think it's going to develop, it's going to result in a really positive development that the city, the developer, and the community will be proud of. Since our meeting 3 weeks ago, or since the city council meeting 3 weeks ago, we've worked diligently to address the questions and comments raised by you all. And I hope that the materials that were provided were very helpful for you to understand what we need to do to move forward. So with that, we respectfully request your approval of the master plan tonight so that Ryan and our team can continue advancing this project forward to bring the retail, dining, services, and amenities that the citizens of Manvel are asking for. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Ashley. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Wagner. It's a pleasure to see you all again. I did want to mention real quick, this was the presentation from the last city council meeting. We've submitted a new presentation for tonight's purposes. Just want to see if the...
Do you happen to have Ellie, the presentation that Ashley sent me last week?
It's in the packet, I believe. But I think we can begin while Ellie's pulling up. I mean, it's in your packet, so it's not new material. It's just what's on the screen. Go ahead.
Sure. Just wanted to go, perfect, awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, this is it.
Thank you.
Just wanted to go over some of the comments received from the previous city council meeting, just to start off with this presentation. And just wanted to mention kind of the purpose of this master plan. It gives a general overview of the project in its entirety. It by no means, with the approval of this master plan, will allow construction to begin. It's just the very first step in the platting process. We will be submitting subsequential plats for the following sections of this project. And want to also emphasize that this project Oh, sorry. Also want to emphasize that this project is following the 380 agreement and the previously approved the plan unit development document that was approved by City Council, which lays out all the rules and regulations for this project. And one of the big changes that we made with this new submittal, previously we had shown a full site plan for this project. With the following Manvel subdivision ordinance, this master plan is following everything that is outlined for a master plan. One of those requirements is not to show a site plan. We're only really required to show drainage, internal road networks, and the reserves. We decided to just show Section 1 site plan, which we are currently preparing plats for and construction plans for. That's what's currently under contract. The future reserves and sections are currently not under contract, so we decided to remove the site plan for that since they're subject to change. And moving forward, one of the new items that we've submitted with this proposed project, we created this landscape plan to go into more detail of how we're following the landscape, the requirements laid out in the PUD, and that we're following the landscape requirements that were agreed upon. And so one of the big things here, we're showing a 5-foot wide sidewalk around this detention pond with some amenities like some seating areas. It's going to be landscaped with plenty of shade. There will be further landscaping along Kirby Drive, and then throughout the site plan as well. And lastly, I wanted to point out that we will be providing a parking area. This was some feedback we received from the previous meeting, was to provide a little parking area to that detention area. And I want to provide a little caveat to that, that parking area is subject to change based off of approval from Home Depot, if they'll be willing to allow us to place a dedicated parking area on their site plan. Other than that, there will be ample parking opportunities within Home Depot as well. And then, sorry, may have lost connection. Okay, there we go. And then lastly, we provided this construction obligation exhibit to go over the responsibility of who is responsible for building the portions of Kirby Drive. I went over this a little bit in my presentation at the last City Council meeting. The areas shown in yellow, orange, is going to be under the responsibility of the developer, BCS Manvel, for Manvel Crossing. The very first portion, there will be an improvement extending from the current existing pavement of Kirby Drive, where it's established from HGB, and to provide access to Section 1. The next segment will be developed. This wasn't shown on the master plan because it's part of the Primrose Drainage Reserve, which is a part of that Primrose project and currently owned by Beazer, but Manvel, BCS Manvel will be improving that with Section 1. And then they'll also be improving the portion within Section 1 as well as that portion of Rodeo Drive. So they'll be constructing both sides of the street there. And then lastly, the area shown in blue, that will be improved and constructed with the Primrose project with that last section, Section 5, and they will also be constructing both sides of that street as well. And that will conclude my presentation portion. I thank you guys so much, and I'm going to hand this off over to Ryan to close this out, and we'll open the floor to questions and comments.
Thank you, Ashley. Hi, everybody. Ryan Sweeney, BCS. We haven't met. Councilman Albert, nice to meet you. It's really nice to see everybody. I'm sorry I wasn't here a few weeks ago. I'll summarize everything that Ashley spoke to. I'm excited to. We are still very much thrilled with the opportunity that's in front of us. I've been working extremely hard, almost daily, if not daily, on this project ever since we bought it. I work with 12 people from EHRA. We get together biweekly and have for the last 3 or 4 months. There's a lot of things that are moving on this project, to the tune of 7 figures of engineering fees. So we're fully committed to it. And a lot of what we're doing is the DIA, which took a massive amount of land to our north, and we had to incorporate it into our drainage impact analysis. Deviating from kind of what we originally bought and what we're buying now, which is an inclusion of 7.7 acres from Beazer Homes, really opened the door to create some more commercial value and some more efficiencies really with the detention area that we now have in one entire pond that can be amenitized together as opposed to 2, and separated by a 40-foot right-of-way, which no longer exists. So I'll try to be quick. We pursued a strategy of a phased development primarily to accommodate the timing for our lead tenant retailer. The name was disclosed earlier. I'm trying to keep it, on a need-to-know basis, but I think that's well past us. But either way, the reason for that being to develop the western side, we have to incorporate TxDOT approval of our DIA. And we decided to meet the timelines that we've promised certain tenants, our financial obligations to the city, our own development schedule. We needed to move quick and do it fast as possible. So phase 1, also known as section 1, is to do all of the internal road construction, all the internal water, wastewater, and sanitary internal within those roads, all the detention areas and the amenities around the detention areas. We will hire a landscape architect to design the landscape features of the detention area. It'll be part of the permitting process that the city reviews. Every parcel that's developed going forward will go through that same process and make sure that it adheres to the PUD, which we worked so hard to craft and develop, and then also meeting the tree and landscape ordinances. So today is really, as Ashley alluded to, the first step in the platting process, which allows us to tee up the site, start the development permitting process, and get us closer to building the internal roads, the detention facilities, the amenities around those detention facilities, and just be able to deliver a site to our lead tenant. And so going forward, I do want to comment on the rest of the site plan. Like, it is a moving target. We have probably the best known financial institution in the world that we're about to go under contract with. I think we've spoken about them, Manager Johnson. And so as we piecemeal this together, these users are, they have to adhere to the same PUD and tree ordinance, landscaping requirements. We set out the site plan requirements, parking requirements, signage, lighting, everything. So we've got the guardrails, all the wheels are in motion, and I'm really excited to see how quickly we can start delivering sites. And so I'm open for any questions and any other comments.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that overview to you and the EHRA team. Council, any comments, questions? Oh, Joe's with the comment.
Mayor, I know you had asked the question about the recommendation, so just wanted to summarize, make sure that y'all understand correctly. From the last set of comments that we had at the last meeting, we have one comment that is outstanding, but we feel that it's the applicant is already working on it. It's a surveying complexity they are trying to figure out, and it takes time. And we do have preliminary plats coming forward, so we're okay with that condition. But at the same time, under the background, we did mention to you that the exhibits that has been submitted, I know it was very important for you all as part of at the last meeting that you see this, and what we are suggesting, or we wanted to get your thoughts or your decision on it. If you would want to see those exhibits to be made part of the master plan as an exhibit, you can take that into consideration. We did not put it as a comment because we already have the exhibits. The presentation is already public. We will be tracking that in subsequent application as well. But if that is important to y'all, you can add that condition.
Great, thank you, Jose. Councilman Lance?
Sure. Good evening, Ryan.
Hey.
A couple of quick things. And I know, like you said, the timeline is a moving target right now. But do you have let's just call it a hopeful projection on when the first walls are going to go up on the building one?
We expect to be able to deliver their pad-ready site, or at least a pad with all the infrastructure in place by September of next year.
Okay.
And how quickly they start moving. So they want to start their full construction design plans by the end of the month. That's a major undertaking. So they're fully committed. We want to have a kickoff meeting very soon on that front. But I meet with them pretty often. Does that answer?
Yes.
And I think they might build it, depending on weather and things, 6 to 10 months.
Okay. September next year
is when they would start
putting the walls in. Okay.
Unless there's ways to, I don't know, unless there's ways to start kind of from an overlapping standpoint, but I don't know.
Thank you,
I'll
sir.
have to just see where we land.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. Two quick questions, Ryan. You mentioned DIA. Have you guys started the tree survey? Is that in motion?
We have.
Okay. Is that completed yet, or is it in motion right now?
It is. I've hired Evergreen, a landscaping architect company, to kind of prepare it in a presentable form. But essentially, out of the 47 acres, it's found that I think it's 45 or 46 trees that would be considered a protected tree under the ordinance. All of them elms, I believe. The rest are kind of, it's an invasive species. It's kind of the bulk of that. I mean, there are some other trees that are there, but they're not considered protected. So we're just going to get all the information and then come up with a plan to submit to you all, and then, collaborate on how to move forward. Because there's some serious challenges with that too. And the goal here is to over-deliver on what we're going to do. And I know it was mentioned earlier about the trees and replacing trees after taking out trees, and there's got to be a balance. And in long term, there's fantastic ways to preserve, after planting, trees with distance requirements and irrigation and beautifying those trees over time rather than having it go, kind of native. But even though, I get that too. Long answer to your question.
No, you're good. Right. So I think that's not to speak for Councilman Rossi Knox. Obviously, trees he's very passionate about those. And I appreciate the visuals and the exhibits that you guys provided. It was helpful to visualize. I think when you read through the PUD, what you guys have presented from a exhibit standpoint allows the vision to connect with the words that are on paper, if that makes sense. And so when we look at buffering, or when you look at, the landscaping or decorative fences that need to be along certain areas, you guys have exhibited that well. So I look forward to having the conversations about the trees there. Last question I had, just the timing for Kirby. I think the blue section, and this graphic helps illustrate it a lot better, very helpful. The blue section is going to be a part of Section 5 for Primrose. What is the expected date for that?
Absolutely. It's expected, according to Beezer's schedule, to be the end of next year.
End of next year, okay.
Subject to change if everything stays on.
So it would be hopeful to be delivered before Building 1 would ultimately be completed?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Aggressive schedule.
It's an aggressive schedule.
That would be great. It's not a requirement for the retailer.
Yeah, not for you guys, because the orange goes past that, which is good, just thinking about the further connectivity there. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Councilman Rossi Knox.
I would like to be part of these tree conversations whenever it comes up, I guess. I don't know what that's going to look like. But yeah, I've driven by there many times, and there's definitely a lot of invasive trees in there. And what would be really cool is if one of those elms ended up in like a green area and y'all could save it. But also working with you guys to plant some native species and trees that could actually benefit the wildlife around your detention ponds here in some of these green areas. So yeah, I would like to be part of those conversations.
More than welcome to be.
But this looks good.
Thank you, Councilman. Any final comments, questions, council? Hearing none, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
I have a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from the councilwoman. We have a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night. Next, we have agenda item number 4, consideration and possible action to approve resolution 2026-R-36. Council, any comments and or questions regarding this agenda item for a public hearing? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Tammy, yes.
Just want to make sure that you noted the date in the actual resolution is a special meeting night, which will be July the 27th at 6 p.m. with the PD&Z.
Okay. Council, any issues with July 27th? No? Okay, we have a motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bonner. Do I have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Councilman Albert. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Next, we have consideration and possible action to approve resolution 2026-R-37. Tammy, Dan, can you present this item to us?
Yes, Mayor. This is the position where there was actually someone passed away on the appraisal district, and so they're looking for a nomination. We've heard that I guess Pearland ISD and the city of Pearland, I believe, are both nominating Chad Thuman as their delegate. So we could do the same, or if there was someone else that we wanted to nominate, we could do that.
Thank you, Dan. What I'll add is last time we nominated, Carmen brought forward a nomination, and Council, if you're good with that.
Chelsea Lay.
Chelsea Lay, I think continuing that and renominating Chelsea Lay. Council, any?
And do you want me to hit the points real quick, just on the eligibility? So must have resided in Brazoria County for at least 2 years immediately preceding the date of taking office, must not have had any delinquent ad valorem taxes owed to a taxing unit, and must not be an employee of a taxing unit that participates in the district.
Yes to all those things.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to nominate Chelsea Lay to fill the vacancy. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilwoman Roby Robinson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Agenda item number 6, consideration and possible action on nominations to the Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees, place 1, place 2, place 3, and place 4. Tammy, if you can just give us an overview. We don't technically need any action on this tonight. We would just need action by our next meeting. So Tammy, what do you have for us?
So on this one, I put it on the agenda, like the mayor said this evening, so you'd have a chance to look at the item in your packet. This is a nomination for the 4 places. On the second page of the item in your agenda packet, it does tell you who currently sits in those seats and what entity that they're from, if your nomination wants to be those current people, or if you have somebody new. What I do not have is anything for bios on who these people are. So if you don't know them, I can go out and try to search them on their websites and send them to you if you have a question about someone. But the reason for this tonight was to give you a chance to look at it and understand what you'll be asked to vote on at the next meeting. There is a deadline for us to get the response in, which is August the 2nd. So it will have to be acted on at your next meeting.
Thank you, Tammy. Council, any comments or questions regarding this agenda item? Or would you guys like to take 2 weeks, contemplate?
Myself, I don't know a single person, except by name, not personally. I think if anybody on here has a person that they would like to nominate, I think it serves that we take the 2 weeks to at least allow that somebody to give the information on them if they want to.
And other qualifications for, I mean, maybe you could send us all an email with some qualifications, something like that, in case there was someone wanted to appoint.
Absolutely, and I'll also send you some information on what the role would be doing on that board, exactly what that board does.
All right. Councilman, if you want to make a motion then.
I'll make a motion to postpone.
Until?
I guess, well, the next meeting is what day?
What day is the next council meeting?
Sure, to July 20th.
Okay. We have a motion to postpone to July 20th from Councilman Rossi Knox. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilwoman Roby Robinson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. All right, agenda item number 7, consideration and action to approve a design criteria modification request from the City of Manvel Design Criteria Manual. Looks like we have a presentation tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Council. So this is the two-part request. The first part is for the allowance of pump detention system, and the second part is a request to deviate from the 1,000 feet distance requirement from residential properties that is stated in the DCM. So a little background on the variance request. The subject site is an approximate 3-acre portion of a 10-acre vacant tract that is located south side of Crowley Road and County Road 58. The property is located entirely within the X-unshaded flood zone. The entities having jurisdiction over drainage for the site is the Drainage District 4 and the City of Manvel. So the drainage on site is proposed to be handled by pipes placed underground within the pavement. So on May 5, 2026, a variance request to the DCM modification was denied, as the pump detention system would be allowed by City Council on a case-by-case basis. So going to city staff report, the drainage criteria is laid in Chapter 5 of the Design Criteria Manual. So as Chapter 5 states, the pump detention facilities may be allowed by City Council on a case-by-case basis if following criteria are met. There are 5 criteria that are laid out in the DCM. So the applicant has taken the following steps to meet city's criteria. The development is a non-residential use for a proposed retail plaza. There are 2 residences in the vicinity that do not meet the 1,000 feet distance requirement. A backup generator, gas generator, has been proposed to service the pump station. The proposed underground system is designed to achieve the required 50% of the detention to be handled by gravity. The applicant is proposing a 77% by gravity and the 23% to be pumped. Correspondence has taken place with the Drainage District regarding the pump facility and the drainage requirements. Approval from the Drainage District will be required prior to city permit approval. There are some supplemental documents that can be found in the packet that would provide more details on the pump and measures taken to ensure the present and future compliance with city guidelines. The request was taken to PDNC on June 22nd and was forwarded with favorable recommendation of 4-2 with 2 conditions. The conditions being the plans need to be signed off by the Drainage District, and the neighboring properties within the 1,000 feet should be notified about the pump system. So to conclude, the applicant meets 4 out of 5 requirements provided in the DCM for the allowance of a pump detention system. The only criteria that they do not meet is the distance criteria for the 1,000 feet. The residences in the 1,000 feet buffer. So we also have the applicant here, if you have any questions that they can answer.
Okay, great. If we have questions, we'll have them come forward. I believe this is your first time presenting to council. You did great job.
Thank you.
So I'll just kind of kick things off. I watched the PD&Z meeting, and they had a really good discussion on this item. You know, we try to strive hard to be a city that is easy to work with, and and one of the ways that we did that is with the DCM. Previously, there was no allowance at all for pump detention, and when we set this, we said these are the minimum requirements that need to be met. And even if these are met, it still is a case-by-case basis. And if the minimum requirements can't be met, I've set the precedence for myself that I can't vote for it. And the one requirement here is the within the 1,000 feet, and that's a hard line for me. So respectfully, I'm no to this, not because I don't want to see the project move forward, but we said no to another development that wasn't able to meet the 1,000 feet requirement, and they reworked their design, and now they're moving forward. They're actually moving dirt on their property. So for me, I'm very hesitant towards pump detention. I understand in some cases it may be needed. Minimum requirements need to be set for me. So it's not a no to the project, but it's go back, revisit it, find a way to not do pump. So thank you for the overview. Thank you for the data sheet. It was very helpful.
Thank you.
Council, any comments or questions? We'll go Councilman Lands first, and then we'll go Councilman Albert.
Well, one question I would have on the pump detention and the approximate footage, have y'all done a topo survey of the area and the surrounding buildings that's within the 1,000 feet?
Yes, we have, this image shows the 1,000-foot buffer, but there are two properties, like from our research, we found that there are two properties within the 1,000-foot distance. So.
What I'm getting at is it looks like a lot of these properties, if I'm not mistaken, they're to the north.
Yes.
Jones, can you speak to that?
Yeah, we did not do an exact survey, but we used a GIS system to use the tools available and create that buffer, which showed those two properties that Marilyn mentioned being within 1,000 feet.
Okay, what elevation do we have those at compared to this piece of land?
That we did not look at.
I mean, if it's, I'm just going to throw a number out. If it's 5 foot higher, we don't have an issue, really, do we? I mean, it's just something I think it's worth looking at. Now, City Manager, I'm not in favor of pump detention either, but I do think it's worthwhile for us to look at all aspects and say we've covered that. But just saying it's a flat, no, because it's within 1,000 feet. I've seen some elevation issues on my house recently that plays into big changes that you just can't see on a map. So just food for thought, if we just maybe looked at some elevation issues and throw that into the mix of our discussion.
So, Councilman Lands, would your recommendation be to postpone and have the applicant do a topographic study of the area and then
I think that would be advantageous on their part.
Councilman, one thing that I would definitely add to that would be that with the development, the elevations would change again, though. So right now, it's undeveloped, vacant. So with development, the elevation might change.
You would have to bring
for
in,
the subject side.
bring in the exception that, okay, if they're going to have to go up 2 feet, I don't know if that's a flood zone there or not. There's still a lot of information here we don't have in this packet. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there that maybe we look at some elevation if we, and it may be all flat land. I mean, we're on a rice field, so it may be, maybe null, but if I was in this position, I would want to say, hey, what kind of ammunition do I have to go forward with? Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Albert.
I think looking at the map, though, the two subject properties that are inside the 1,000-foot limit are north of the drainage ditch and north of 4 lanes of highway. What are the likelihoods that this property is going to spill enough water to cross the drainage ditch and affect these two properties? And I think the likelihood of that is very low. Now, if we were talking about a property next door, then yeah, but we're talking about an awful lot of space, in my opinion, and a drainage ditch.
In this image, you can see the properties towards the north that is within the 1,000-foot buffer.
And I think,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, one of them is for sale for commercial space. Yeah.
So looking at, to Councilman Albert's point and Councilman Lands, looking at, and I have the city GIS page pulled up here, it looks like everything north is in flood zone AE, so significant flooding. Now this property to the south is not within a flood zone.
No, it's in the unshaded X zone.
Okay, unshaded, okay. Now, the outfall for their detention, where would that outfall go?
It's in the drainage ditch that's in between the canal and the property.
Okay, so the canal's there, drainage just in between. The properties to the north, where do they drain to? Do they drain south underneath 58 and then underneath the canal and then into that same drainage ditch?
I'm not sure.
Can I add another layer of flavor here? So if we're pumping into the canal and the pump fails, then the water is going to fail into the canal.
Not the canal.
It's not the canal.
Drainage ditch, it's right there.
Yeah, it's not pumped to the canal.
There's a drainage ditch in between the canal and their property to the south.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
That's what it would pump into, and I'm curious about the properties to the north. Do they go under 58 and pump into that and go into that same?
Again, good evening, everyone. I'm the civil engineer on this project, so I might be able to answer some of your questions.
Yeah, my question very specifically is for the properties to the north. Do you know where their drainage goes?
They also have a ditch across, like along the road, along County Road 58.
Along the north side of 58?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Council, do you guys have? Okay, and then go ahead, Councilman, then we'll go Councilman Rossi Knox, and then we'll see if anyone else has any new questions to ask.
Could you just clarify the percentage drain, I think,
It's 77% by gravity, 22% by pump.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Rossi Knox. Okay, go Councilman Bonner. Mayor Pro Tem Bonner.
Mayor, you had mentioned a previous project that we did not approve because of this. Well, I might not have been here. I'm not sure. Can you shine some more light on that? Because I want to stay consistent. You know, if we say no to this development because it's blue, then this development's blue. Let's not say yes to that as well. I want to keep some consistency here. So, can you explain that more?
Yeah, so Dan Joes, we'll see if you guys can add some color to this, but the property was just a little bit down here, was in a floodplain along Large Avenue, and there were residential homes to the northwest of it that were within the 1,000 feet. And the reason why we voted against their pump detention is because they did not meet that requirement. So,
is that comparative to this situation?
It is in the sense that they outfall to the same place.
Okay.
So even though it's on the north side of 58, the stuff on the north side of 58 goes to the roadside ditch. Ultimately, that's where that's why they're trying to pump it to, because for whatever reason, the canal authority won't let you outfall or discharge into the canal. Seems like that would be the most obvious thing, but they won't. They just happen to be on the north end of the drainage area. So like the church that's immediately to their west, they're able to, well, yeah, you can see it on there. They're able to drain into that far western ditch, but where they're at, they can't get to that ditch, so that their only option is to go under the canal.
does that answer your questions, Councilman? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Bonner?
I'm still a little fuzzy. There's ditches on both sides of the road. The north side of the road has a drainage ditch, just like the south side, that both drain into, and then those ditches go to the canal? Is that correct?
No, they don't outfall to the canal.
So nothing outfalls to the canal?
No.
So where are the ditches outfalling to?
They come towards...
Are they going east or west?
East, towards 288.
Towards 288. So if that's the case, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, kind of like David, how would the water ever get to the north side? And even if it got to the north side across the highway, isn't it going to flow with the drainage towards 288?
They're interconnected. The ditches are interconnected underneath 58, underneath Croy. And it's like kind of like Mississippi. Remember, we've got pipes underneath to level out, and the ditches on both sides.
Could you unmute?
It's less about the water going north of the road. It's more about, because it's the same system, it backing up once you hit the saturation.
It's going to cause a backup if a failure occurs, or possible failure.
Council, any new questions to ask Councilman Albert?
Yeah, so, but to your point, Joe's, the problem is that the water's going to overflow into the ditch and be a problem to the south, not to the north. And so these two houses that are causing our issue are 400 feet short to the north. And so the water that they may spill would, in theory, have to spill to the north into the canal that we're not allowed to pump into, and then overfill the canal to get across 4 lanes of traffic.
Topographically, I mean, the canal is so much higher, it would never.
You're making my point.
Where it's going to drain is towards New Hope.
I think this is exactly the example of the exception of even though they're within the 1,000 feet, that it just doesn't make math sense that it needs to be 1,000 feet because there's 1,000 other things protecting this property from the failed detention.
Council, any other comments and/or questions? All right.
So
last question, and then we'll.
Last question of the day on this one. So on the, you said 68%, something
No,
like that?
it's 20, by pump is only 23%.
Okay, so in that, when, it's like the chicken and the egg. What happens first? The gravity
First
drain, gravity
First
flow
gravity-
happens first?
Yes.
Right? And then at some point, when it gets to a certain point,
Yeah,
then the pump's going to kick on and drain and the detention pond will hold some water, a little water.
Well, it holds water at it's a rate, at the rate the same as the rate of as gravity is going to go into the ditch.
So, and then the pond, this detention pond will hold the same amount of water as if it was pump detention versus complete
Yes, the
gravity
same,
flow.
yes.
Same,
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, Council, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
I make a motion to approve as recommended by PDZ.
We have a motion to approve from Councilman Albert. We have a second from Councilman Oplager. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion fails in a 3-4 vote. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, Joseph, we can make sure to follow up with the applicant on proposed next steps and continue the conversation. Thank you. Agenda item number 8. This is consideration and possible action to approve the first of 2 readings of ordinance 2026-0-20. We'll turn this one over to Chief Trailer. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This ordinance was being presented as a request for council to regulate the issue of our electric bicycles, mopeds, and scooters. The reason why we're looking at this ordinance is to establish clear regulations for the safe operation of electric bicycles, mopeds, scooters within the city of Manvel. These devices are becoming more common, and the city currently has limited regulations governing their use. The goal is to improve public safety while remaining consistent with Texas Transportation Code. The reason why we need this ordinance is because the increasing use of the e-bikes and scooters by both adults and juveniles. There are growing concerns regarding sidewalk safety, speed in pedestrian areas, reckless operation, the lack of clear enforcement authority, and it also provides residents, officers, and visitors with clear expectations regarding where and how these devices may operate. Some of the key provisions we were looking at with this ordinance defines the Class 1, 2, and 3 electric bicycles that are consistent with state law. It defines mopeds, electric scooters, and electric mobility devices. And we also adopt the operational rules that mirror the Texas Transportation Code whenever possible. Some of the safety measures we were looking at, that it establishes speed limits of 50 miles per hour on shared use paths, 8 miles per hour on sidewalks. It requires operators to yield to pedestrians, give audible warnings when passing pedestrians, require proper lighting for nighttime operation. It requires functioning brakes and other required safety equipment. Some of the things we were looking at is for the protection of the pedestrians is prohibits Class 3 e-bikes on sidewalks, allows Class 1 and 2 e-bikes on sidewalks only when operated safely at reduced speeds. It gives the city manager authority to prohibit riding in designated areas where safety concerns exist. One of the big things we were looking at is the youth safety side of it, is riders under 16 must wear a Consumer Product Safety Commission approved helmet. Persons under 16 may not operate a Class 3 e-bike, and includes parental notification and juvenile diversion options when appropriate. The enforcement aspect of it, it provides officers with clear enforcement authority, creates a graduated penalty structure, meaning the first offense up to $50, second offense up to $100, subsequent offenses up to $200, which is the maximum penalty for a Class C offense. Allows education in lieu of fine for the first-time offenders, and allows temporary impoundment only when immediate safety hazard exists. Looking forward into the future for commercial operations, I've seen this in a lot of the university towns where they have a lot of major colleges. Establishes permitting requirements for shared and rental e-bike fleets, requires insurance maintenance standards, proper parking and safety compliance if rental services are introduced into Manvel. The other thing we're looking at is public education, which we've seen this in multiple cities now to get the information out. We've already started looking at, if this ordinance does pass, that we have a safety orientation through our community service officer, community relations officer for the schools, that we're going to start promoting the e-bike safety education. It directs city to provide educational materials, requires signage in areas where restrictions or speed limits apply, and focuses on voluntary compliance through education before enforcement. The ordinance is intended to proactively address the growing use of electric bicycles and scooters in our community. It balances the rights of riders with the safety of pedestrians and motorists, provides officers with clear enforcement authority, aligns with Texas law, and establishes reasonable safety standards that will help protect everyone using our streets, sidewalks, parks, and shared paths.
Thank you, Chief. Council, any comments or questions for Chief? We'll go Councilman Lance.
Thank you, Chief, for this write-up. This is it's pretty well documented. I like the document. It's going to be interesting to enforce, but I like it. The only thing on here that I would throw out there is the enforcement and the penalties. I think after a individual reaches 3 or 4 offenses, I think the impoundment should be added in there, that because if they do it 3, 4, 5 times, keep doing it, they're not going to stop. So we'll just take it away from them. That's just my personal opinion on that.
I don't know if we can legally do that.
Well, we have an attorney sitting right there.
I understand where you're coming from. We have to have legal authority to take somebody's property, and I don't think we have that authority.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Councilman Albert.
Am I missing something here? But I'm reading section 41D. I'm sorry, 4167D, impoundment of an electric vehicle. So where was that coming from then?
And that's page 7 of the document.
It's the very last part.
So that's.
Well, temporarily impoundment is different from taking it, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, temporary impoundment would be if we find someone that's driving it recklessly, say a 15-year-old on a Class 3 e-bike, then we'd be able to, by the ordinance, take the e-bike until we can get the parents to come pick it up. That would be an example.
So you still get your impoundment nights?
Temporary impoundment.
Temporary. Chief, appreciate the work on this. It's timely. Just last night, my wife and I were pulling out of the neighborhood. She was driving, and a kid flies around the corner on an electric bike. He was wearing a helmet, not paying attention, going 50 miles per hour. And the speed limit in our neighborhood's, 30, 35 miles per hour. Comes flying around the corner into our lane. My wife had to take the van, almost drive up on the sidewalk to ensure that the kid didn't hit us. So timely that this is being discussed tonight. I like everything here. One thing I did notice, Chief, is that the title of this does reference now electric scooters, but many of the references, once you start getting into 41.52 and working your way through, such as, for example, it defines an operator as operators of electric bicycles. We'll just want to make sure that it's not solely focused on the bicycles, like a 41.54, a person operating a bicycle on a roadway who is, I just didn't, once we got down into the substance, didn't see a lot that called out specifically e-scooters. Was that intended or was that unintentional?
Well, technically in our ordinance, we did not have an ordinance that regulated bicycles, pedal bicycles, and electric bikes. This actually defines the difference between the two, your regular bicycle standards, which are covered by state law, and then your e-bikes, which are also covered by state law. So it kind of defines both, regulates both the regular bicycles and your e-bikes. We also added in to that with the mopeds, electric scooters, and electric mobility devices, which actually, when I was leaving the tree planting the other day, young man was going down Marine Honor Parkway on one of them, I guess them, I don't know what you call them, the single-wheel unibikes, unicycles, and he was just getting it, never stopped at Inspiration Way, just shoop, shoop, right on across. So that is also incorporated in there. That's an electric mobility device. So basically what we did was now we have regulations in place in ordinance for the bicycles as well as the electronic bikes, scooters, and mobility devices.
Okay. So when I look at page 6, this is section 41.64. It references electric bicycle equipment requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that these equipment requirements don't apply to e-scooters as well? Or is there a separate section for e-scooter equipment requirements?
The electric bikes are different, and I'm not an expert in them, but I know that they're different because of the speeds that they travel. They have to have specialized braking equipment and such as that. Honestly, I don't know anything about scooters. I don't know what requirements they have on them, but I know that the electric bicycle requirements, this is part of state law, that they have all the equipment, including a braking system that will stop the
Is it covered
e-bike.
under bicycle, regular? It's just another form of bicycle with safety equipment by takes transportation.
Correct.
Okay. I'm certainly fine with, voting this through. I like a lot of it. We'll just make sure just over the next 2 weeks, let's just do a brush through one more time, see if there's any clarification that just needs to be made, saying, hey, this is not just maybe for bikes, but making sure that it's clear about e-scooters. Love what you and the team have put together here, Chief. I think it's much needed, and look forward to educating the public about it. So thank you for answering my questions. Any other, Councilman O'Plager, please go ahead.
So Chief, good work. Thank you very much. The golf carts, would that be part of this?
No.
No?
Golf carts fall under a totally different statute.
Totally different?
There's totally different statute with different regulations.
Okay, so we have something in place to govern that then?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The next question or thought, the penalty section, I didn't, certainly don't want to introduce young people to a whole lot of tickets, but that public training, awareness, safety training, right, would be probably better served if in that before they start taking money.
This is one of the dilemmas that we have in the law enforcement world. Most of your individuals that are riding these scooters are young kids. In the world we live in nowadays, stopping a young kid for not wearing a helmet on a scooter is not really a good thing, in my opinion. Right. Yes, we want to protect the children as a community, but
well, the police department has other things to do than chase down the little guys on without a helmet.
It's not a good representation of what we should be doing in law.
But it gives us a guideline or something to say, if there's something happens out there where little Johnny runs over somebody, they say, oh, well, you didn't have this. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yes,
we're not going to go out and search them down and write tickets.
No. Basically what it is and way we're doing it is the education side of it first. Yeah. We find a youngster riding it, hey, we contact their parents if it is a danger. It's just one of them things that.
Well, speaking for myself, I let my grandson drive my golf cart and he rolled it over, right? And that's why I said this, right? Young people don't have the experience, right? It's just my mistake. I should have known better, right? So the adult has to be held accountable as well. I mean, I had no idea that but they're kids, right? And that's the problem, they're kids. And
Oh, okay. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind too is we can only write tickets to 10-year-old and up, believe it or not. But that's something we don't want to do. More than likely, if we find something like that, we're going to contact parents, advise parents, hey, this is the new ordinance, this is what we have to follow. Most of the kids I see nowadays are wearing helmets, the protective helmets, but some of them aren't. And those are the ones that we just have to worry. Those are the ones that aren't following the rules anyway. So.
All right. Any final comments, questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Councilwoman Roby Robinson. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Oplager. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. I believe our city manager has asked for agenda item number 9, just to take no action on that tonight. Okay, perfect. Now we'll go to mayor and council comments. Just one, council, I do want to recognize, Jackie George, our new assistant city manager. She recently experienced a death in her family, and she still made time, and she wanted to be here tonight even though she didn't have to. She probably would have stayed the entire time too, but just says a lot to her character that while her family's experiencing that grief, that she still wanted to be here tonight because this is important to her. So wanted to make sure to recognize that and say that her family is in our thoughts and our prayers. Council, any other comments and or questions? I believe, Mr. El Presidente, we have a BCCA next week.
It's third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday, yeah. So come in. Is that next week? No.
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay.
If you do want to go, this Friday is the deadline to send me the RSVP information to get you registered to attend.
Perfect.
It's way down south.
Way down south. Way down south. Any final council comments, questions? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn from Mayor Pro Tem Bonner. I heard from Councilman Lands. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. And the USA is losing 3-1. This game